Hey everyone, this is Adam Ellenboss from Nightlight Astrology. Happy Monday, everybody. Hope you guys had a good weekend. Today we're going to start the week by looking at one of the biggest transits of the week, which is Jupiter's entrance back into the sign of Aries, which is also happening at the solstice moment, 0 Capricorn. That's the winter solstice if you're up here in the Northern Hemisphere. But that is an important dynamic all on its own. What to speak of the fact that Jupiter is also entering Aries, that 0 Aries degree being one of the most powerful degrees of the zodiac. So it's a really interesting week. Jupiter at 0 Aries on itself or on its own, completely very powerful transit. And then on top of it, the fact that that is happening as the sun crosses 0 Capricorn and then makes a square to Jupiter. In their synodic cycle, that dynamic is a big deal on its own. The solstice is a big moment on its own. Jupiter entering Aries is a big moment on its own. So you put all those things together and you get a pretty dynamic and compelling week of astrology ahead of us. So that is what we're going to be looking at today. We're going to take a look at some of the light and dark themes that you may be noticing and trying to contextualize them given the phase dynamic of Jupiter and the sun that's present right now and of course the solstice turning point. So before we get into that, don't forget to like and subscribe, share a few comments or reflections. It helps the channel to grow. If you ever have a story you want to share that is rooted in one of the transits we're talking about, use the hashtag grabbed or email us grabbed@nightlightastrology.com. Of course, one of the names for the ancient planets were grahas or grabbers. But they also, although they come and grab our lives or seize our consciousness, when we try to live a reflective lifestyle, we also come to understand and grasp, another word for graha, another meaning of the word graha, their teachings, and we start to walk more consciously with the planets in our lives. So occasionally I will do storytelling episodes where I share the stories that you guys submit through the hashtag grabbed or through our email address, and we'll probably be doing another one of those in the new year. So just an encouragement around some of these big transits. If you have stories, please do share them. They make for some great episodes later, and a lot of people learn and grow because of the stories you guys share. So yeah. Also, we are on our way, again, trying to rally the support of 1,608 backers supporting this channel through our annual Kickstarter. Right now, as I am recording this, we are closing in on 700 backers, and we're just under 2 weeks left to go. We run until New Year's Eve. We go, I think it's a little after midnight or something like that. So we still have a couple of weeks left and could still use the support of a whole bunch of our audience members to pitch in and say, hey, I really value this channel. It gives me something good, so I'm going to pitch in $5, $10. It all goes a really long way and helps us grow this channel, support a staff of people that are there helping me with a variety of different things behind the scenes, all of which makes this go. So also, when you donate, you can choose a reward. So you can pick out one of my exclusive lectures, like I do a talk on the astrology of 2023. There's a new podcast series I'm doing in the fall called The Oracle Speaks. It's a 12-part series that I'm exclusive through the Kickstarter. You have to buy it through the Kickstarter. Also, you can pick up 50% off on any of my online programs. I have 4 one-year courses that I teach on ancient Hellenistic astrology, horary astrology, and so you can pick up any of those 50% off. If you bundle them together, there is a 4-class pass. I have 6 total classes you can take. You can take any of those 4 of my 6 programs, some of which are also new every year. They're different every year, and you can use them whenever you want. And that takes the savings up to about 75% off. I think we have about 10 of those left. So anyway, there's lots of good deals. I really deeply appreciate all the support that's poured in lately. We have a little ways to go yet. We're around, like I said, 700 backers. So we have still like 900. We're still trying to gain the support of like 900 more listeners to pitch in and just say, hey, I like your channel. Of course, I'm willing to pitch in $5, $10 to support it, or pick a reward and donate a little bit more. So anyway, thank you guys for everyone again who's already pitched in. And if you don't have money to pitch in, we understand. Your prayers are appreciated. Good energy, good vibes. Tell people about the channel. It all helps. All right. Well, all of that being said, let us now turn to the astrology of this week. So when we put the transits up, there's a few things that are worth noticing right away. And I got to get my little epic pen thing out here. All right. Let's gather that. So the first one is that we are, let's move this along a little bit. So here you can see this is Wednesday of next week, or excuse me, of this week, December 21st. So I'm making this over the weekend right now. So here you can see the sun moving into the square with Jupiter. Actually, let's take this back a second so you can just see when Jupiter actually enters Aries. So Jupiter will enter Aries. Here we go. Where are we? There we go. Okay, so Jupiter enters Aries in the morning of December 20th. So that's tomorrow. And Jupiter's entrance into Aries is then followed and let me just highlight this so you can actually see it. Okay, there's Jupiter having entered Aries Tuesday, December 20th. Now, if we advance this just a little bit, you're going to see that it is just like a little bit over a day later. By December 21st, winter solstice, you're going to see the sun squaring Jupiter, having just entered Aries, still at that 0 degree
What's up,
Aries
with a fresh
mark.
new color?
So December 21st
new
is
blue.
solstice, and on the solstice is the Sun-Jupiter square with Jupiter on that 0 Aries mark. So that's really significant. That's a very powerful transit. And again, if it were just Jupiter entering the 0 degree of Aries mark, one of the most powerful degrees of the zodiac, that alone is a powerful transit. The winter solstice alone is one of the more powerful days of the year, a powerful turning point in the solar cycle. And it doesn't matter which hemisphere you're in. The solstices are powerful moments. So you have that, but then what you're also doing is you're putting the two into a square. Now the sun is faster than Jupiter, which means this is a last quarter square. And we talked a little bit about Jupiter's synodic cycle with the sun. I want to remove everything from your perspective here just for a minute. So
the outdoors, yeah, buddy.
On that cycle.
It's cool, man. You capture the mood.
All right, here we go. So let's look at the history of the cycle. So if we go back just a little bit, you'll see, remember this, it was just after the sun made a trine to Jupiter in late Scorpio that you'll see, if we go forward just a little bit, then Jupiter is stationing to turn direct. It's just after the trine that it stations to turn direct or retrograde. Depending on which one it was, if it's the opening trine or the closing trine, then you're kind of on the early part or the late part of the synodic cycle. So from this moment on, after Jupiter turns direct, then the sun, who's still moving very quickly while Jupiter is just picking up speed, the sun will then square Jupiter. And it's that whole process that is sort of like the last quarter of the synodic cycle between Jupiter and the sun. What do last quarters represent, generally speaking? And I'm going to read you something, and I can't believe I set it down. Hold on just a second.
I need to...
I often do my research in my library closet, sitting on the floor, and I just left this sitting there. Okay, so I want to read you something about the last quarter moon, which the last quarter of any synodic cycle is sort of like a mirror of the moon cycle, and so you can generally compare the meaning of any of the major turning points.
Yo, thanks, Sayonara Gaming Store. Thanks, buddy. Thanks, dude. Yo, thanks, buddy. Thank you so much,
I want to read you something. This comes from Astrology and the Authentic Self by Demetra George, which is a great book.
There we go. Now we can read everything, right?
She talks about the different phases of the moon.
My audio's cracking.
So
my audio's cracking.
Let's see, where is it? Here we go. So we talk about the lunar phases, and remember, this is talking about the lunar phase, but we are applying this to the synodic cycle between the sun and Jupiter.
Yo,
what we're about to say is that what I'm about to read is
I think I put you in the shout out in the elite
to Jupiter.
That you were there in chat.
We'll try to
I think
interpret or carry this meaning over to the Jupiter cycle in a minute. But first, this.
It took a while, man.
The last quarter
Thank
moon.
You, buddy. Thanks
so
for
this
all
is the
the
last
support.
quarter moon of the Jupiter phase of the Jupiter cycle. Now the crop has been harvested, and whatever fruit is left on the vine begins to decompose, drawing its energy inward to create the seed for the next cycle. People born during the last quarter moon phase likewise periodically find themselves faced with the necessity of letting go of obsolete forms that have fulfilled their purpose and severing themselves from the parent plant. So it doesn't matter if you were born with this or not. We're just applying this to a transit. But the idea that's really important in that passage is that we find ourselves faced with the
Oh,
necessity
it
of
is
letting go of
choppy.
obsolete forms that have fulfilled their
What
purpose
the
and
fuck?
severing themselves from the parent plant. Dane Rudyard, he wrote a famous book on the lunation cycle, by the way, famous modern astrologer, called this phase a crisis in consciousness because the crises that occur are not the physical crises of the outer world, but rather crises of thought in the
Test.
inner mental realms. When these
Is
individuals
this
realize that
choppy?
they
Is
no
it
longer
choppy? Is it
believe
choppy?
in
Is
the
it choppy?
ideas they used to hold because they now know better, it is
It is. What
excruciatingly
the fuck?
difficult to continue being the people that they used to be, since they no longer hold to the values of their former selves. They turn away from old accomplishments and begin to look for new ideas around which to reorganize their thinking. It is often difficult for them to externalize the change until they have first worked through it in their own mind. During this transition, they often continue to act in accordance with the old image, even though it is no longer a genuine reflection of their current authentic selves. The kind of energy that stands behind the expression and actualization of the life purpose is that of reevaluating beliefs, revising thinking, and reorienting around new creative possibilities. They are here to challenge. We are here to challenge and tear down structures that are antiquated and have outlived their usefulness. Okay, so that's like a brilliant description of a last quarter moon, one that I have used for years. Of course, it comes in part from what modern astrologers like Dane Rudyard and Demetra George and Liz Green and so many others have written about the last quarter moon. But also, even ancient astrologers talked about the last quarter moon and the ending phase of the lunation cycle carrying over into any synodic cycle as moving into the harvesting stage of
Sounds
life.
better.
For example, in India, it's very common
Yo,
across many
thanks.
different
Thanks,
yogic
Dick and everybody.
traditions
I
that
had the
in the
two
latter stage
USB
of life you
fucking
let
cables.
go
Doesn't
of
work.
maybe like retirement, let's say. It's called the Vanaprastha ashram, where you will actually move into kind of like retired ashram mode of life so that you can focus on the inner world. And you're sort of letting go of things like, well, you've raised your kids if you've had them, you've done your job and you're retired, and so on and so forth. So now you can kind of let go of those forms in order to turn inward. That's sort of a last quarter expression, if that makes sense. Now we have to ask ourselves, what does it mean that we are at a last quarter moment for Jupiter? We have been for a while since, let's see here. Let's say like October through November has been a last quarter phase. We've been in it. And now it's reaching this critical moment where the sun actually squares Jupiter.
Yo, thanks, Sander
So
Game. I
a
saw
last
you.
quarter for Jupiter has to do with our life
I followed
purpose,
you.
sun, as signified by any kind of
So I had
coherent
some
structures
stream bits
of meaning
sometimes.
and
It's cool.
belief. Jupiter, religion,
The Pokemon
ideology,
runs.
whether it's political,
Pokemon Red
moral,
runs.
spiritual, philosophical, or anything that grants coherence and order and some sense of unity to our lives. That's generally the role that Jupiter plays, whether it's through education or teachers or religion or the law or the courts. Jupiter upholds a sense of unity. Now, there's lots of other things that Jupiter represents, but we're going to use that kind of broad philosophical understanding of Jupiter to say that as we are in a last quarter, and we have been for a little bit now, but this is like it's the last quarter is reaching like within the phase of the last quarter. This is sort of like the grand finale. Um, and from this is a critical turning point, a defining moment where we have to look at it's and it's very internal as a quote unquote last quarter phase is across the board. We're looking at things that have run their course, especially ideologically, philosophically, morally, spiritually, intellectually, and new values that are starting to emerge as a center around which we can orbit, that grant coherence and unity to our lives. We may be dealing with the internal crisis of how to do that or how to make that change. It feels like we're still living externally with an old value system, but we're getting ready to shed that value system in favor of something different. Now, what is that different thing? Well, it's going to be with Jupiter entering the sign of Aries as the sun goes into Capricorn. This is probably something that's ambitious, that requires hard work and sacrifice, that requires determination and effort. It has a bit more of a yang quality to it on the Jupiter side of things, which would mean the initiation or starting of something new that requires like zeal and assertiveness, even maybe a kind of an aggressive energy behind it. There's something pioneering, trailblazing. It's got that motto of "I'll do my own damn thing," you know. So if you think about the whatever the new value system is, the new philosophy or the new set of ideas or ideals that are granting some sense of coherence to your life, there's something about them that are sort of muscular and young and exciting and new and spring-like. And you're going to feel some of those things really dramatically this week, next week, as Jupiter gets back into Aries and as we cross through the solstice threshold. Remember, the solstices, the 0 degrees of cardinal signs, the fact that we have two planets happening at those degrees is very potent because those degrees and those signs represent turning points. They were called tropical signs. You guys have heard me say that before, from the word tropos, which means to turn. And so these are signs that are fast, they're dynamic, and they represent turning points. And then we're at this kind of last quarter moment with Jupiter, which is a sort of a crisis of looking at forms and beliefs and ideals. And you could also say anything that we aspire toward or are ambitious about, especially with the sun crossing Capricorn into the sign of Capricorn. Capricorn is the exaltation of Mars, and the feminine sign of Saturn, and the exaltation of Mars, and Jupiter is the exaltation of the sun and the domicile of Mars. So you get a very like hard work, determined, ambitious, muscular, strong, assertive, pioneering, individualistic kind of energy. It wouldn't be surprising in the next week to feel like you are ready to make progress on something, but that progress could also be embodied by the decision to turn away from something else. Like I'm kind of done with an idea or a belief or a value, and I'm ready to sort of pour myself into a new one. But you're at the crossroads between the sort of threshold between the old value and the new value. You may be dealing with that sort of internally or psychologically, and it could be that there's a little bit of impatience in the air around that. Like, I want to make the change now. Well, it's going to take a minute, so giving things time to breathe and starting to like internalizing the motivation rather than impulsively externalizing it. That might be one of the tests, for example, in the week ahead. Okay, well, anyway, so hopefully you kind of grasp the importance of this these transits this week, especially Tuesday and Wednesday, the 20th and 21st.
Sounds delicious, though.
Now, what I'd like to do is sort of go through some of the some positive themes to watch for with this combination.
$10 for serving, holy shit.
And then some shadows to watch for. So on an archetypal level, what do we have to say about Jupiter and the Sun? And I was looking through Ren Butler's archetypal universe before preparing this talk, and I want to just go through a couple of the things that he says. I just lost my spot.
Yeah.
Right, hold on.
So good. Big cheese fan.
Where are we? Here we are.
It's my biggest advice.
There we go. We're going to come back to this in a minute.
Other than meat and protein.
First, 5 positive themes to watch for. With the Sun square to Jupiter, as Jupiter is entering Aries, the Sun Capricorn. The first one, most positive, is the theme of joy and optimism. I mean, one thing that the Sun and Jupiter represent quite plainly is getting excited about something. That just generally, the Sun and Jupiter together will represent themes of enthusiasm. I'm happy and I'm excited. Usually with Jupiter in a sign like Aries and the solstices and these cardinal turning points, it will be I'm excited about something that I'm just now starting to do, or something that I'm going to start doing, or something that is sort of new and fresh. But joy and optimism is a big theme for the Sun and Jupiter. The second one is generous and outgoing. They say that generous people are generous because they are full. And so when their cup is overflowing naturally, then there's just a way in which you feel like the person's always giving, whether that's in their energy or their emotional output, or maybe someone who like literally gives you some kind of resource. But either way, a sign of people who are healthy, happy, vital, and fresh is that they're sort of overflowing. And so there's a very generous energy with Jupiter and the sun. And you may notice that around you. You may notice that as something that you're experiencing within yourself. Um, the other thing that goes along with it is the sun Jupiter is just very outgoing. It's more of a, you feel good, and there's like a desire to be more, yeah, just it's like a sunny day. It's like a sunny day where you just want to go outside. You don't want to, there's more of an inclination to be out and sharing things with people. So it's joyful, it's optimistic, usually around wanting to start something or something new that's happening. It's very generous and outgoing energy. The number 3 on my list of 5 is full, expansive, and life giving. Now, Jupiter can also act as something that grants blessings or benefits. The Sun Jupiter square tends to amplify that, especially people who have power or who are privileged or wealthy or expert or masterful at something. I'm going to give you knowledge. I'm going to give you help. I'm going to give you money. I'm going to give you a promotion. So the idea of Jupiter and the sun as bestowing blessings or benefits, that it's a full and expansive, life-giving energy. It goes along with the theme of generosity, but the generosity is something that you'll often see more personally. Like, I'm feeling so generous. I'm overflowing with energy to give other people. Whereas, with the full, expansive, and life-giving qualities, it's almost more like, Santa Claus is coming to town. So you have someone or something outside of yourself that's sort of making everything. It's like a rain that comes and makes everything grow and blossom. Well, those are really nice energies. And then number 4 would be authoritative and heroic. With Jupiter and the sun, you often get themes of heroism, but also themes of authority and mastery. People who are really good at things will often get really good at things when they have a Sun-Jupiter transit in their birth
binary
chart.
star.
When someone
really?
Feels like a heroic undertaking.
Really, I didn't know that.
I'm going to run
What's
a
up, Aaron? How you doing, man?
Or I'm going to do some, big project that it ends up
building
my confidence and making me feel sort of heroic.
It was a star previously?
Very Sun-Jupiter.
Or it failed to become a star?
People who are in authority, though usually with Sun-Jupiter, it's going to be,
for that, but I don't think it's true.
magnanimous and like a regal and
I don't know.
Happy, supportive kind of authority figure, like a
I'm not an expert in
wonderful
astrophysics.
matriarch, or like a really lovely CEO or something like that. It's very Sun-Jupiter is very like warm and generous, and maybe they're like a leader of some kind, but they're the kind that, despite their stature or maybe how good they are or how good they are at something or how wealthy they are, successful they are, they don't make you feel less than. They make you feel a part of. That's one of the wonderful qualities of Sun and Jupiter. Number 5 is strong and broad-minded. So this can be a transit that literally is just about strength. There's something charismatic, charming, persuasive, and strong about the Sun and Jupiter. And at the same time, the Sun and Jupiter can stand for broad-mindedness, being very like broad-minded and open and interested
binary, what does that mean?
In other people.
And now we're
non-binary. Or the Sun is interested, let's say, in knowledge or higher wisdom or truth. The Sun as clarity, illumination, and enlightenment, and Jupiter as something that makes that bigger, more expansive. Someone can become interested in other people's knowledge or other cultures, or other religions, other traditions, and so forth. So strong and sort of
2 suns.
A quality of like muscular strength, or like, wow, that person has a strong moral character, or they're very virtuous and bright in some way.
How
Very
around both suns.
Like someone who's very inspiring. That's what I'm trying to say. But it could also be someone who's just
Jupiter's our greatest protector.
Like
in our solar system, man. Jupiter brings in all the heavy asteroids, my man.
So long as those things are sort of beautiful and interesting and uplifting, so you don't like you find Sun Jupiter, people who were born with Sun Jupiter are often some of the most, like, the brightest people in the room. My grandfather, one of my grandfathers, was a Sun Jupiter, had a Sun Jupiter square, just like so affirming and encouraging and supportive and interested in like what everyone and everything.
My Jupiter's opposite my sun.
And that's a very Sun Jupiter thing. Now there are 5 shadows to watch for, and these are also, they're very real. It's just something to be aware of this week. One would be,
That's one of my
arrogance.
secret
Sun Jupiter can be like proud and boastful
alignments in
and
my birth
arrogant.
chart.
And number two
Jupiter
can be
opposite the
dominance.
sun
Sun Jupiter can be like, someone
means I
who
bite off more
maybe
than
they
I can
think
chew
they're really
sometimes.
like bright and magnanimous, or
I have a bad
but
way
they're
of
also like they
estimating
always have to be the
things
center of
sometimes.
attention, or they can be very domineering. So you have to watch out for that a little bit. Number three would be self-righteous, my way or the highway. I'm right about everything. Or um, people who try to elevate their ego through preaching or evangelizing to people, or when people think that they are right, but there's a hypocrisy, like you haven't taken the plank out of your own eye before you're constantly in condemnation or judgment about the splinter in other people's eye, to call on a sort of biblical reference there. So self-righteous and hypocritical, and acting like a moral hero when maybe your
A
own
martyr.
actions or your own life is not to the same standard that you preach
Avoid
or set for
martyrdom.
others in some sort of superficial way. That's
As
a
I
very
go,
Sun
you're
Jupiter thing.
being a martyr saying to
Excessive or
avoid martyrdom.
inflated, things can just get too big or too much. And finally, philosophical or ethical corruption or conflict. Now, this one will usually come about because the Sun in a square to Jupiter can mean that, let's say, there is some kind of conflict around authority figures, or conflict about something philosophical or theological or something political. And there's a struggle of wills, or almost like a clash of values or ideals. And sometimes that does come out with the Sun square Jupiter. So those are some of the shadows to watch for. I wanted to read you some of the things that Ren Butler wrote in his book, The Archetypal Universe. This is one of my favorite cookbooks and often plays a role in my daily research for my talks. Um, Dream images. I just thought you guys would find this interesting. Sun Jupiter transits coincide with warm, sunny, and positive elements in people's dreams. They include helpful male figures, good or supportive fathers, better outcome in the dream than one expects. Dreamers can have a sense of exaltation or upliftment, such as being perched on a mountainside high over panoramas or brilliant azure sky. Sometimes these scenes evoke a feeling of being too high. Other figures in dreams include aristocratic or imperious males. See how I can kind of go the shadow side. Sun Jupiter dreams remind me of our optimistic and expansive natures, as well as our potential for arrogance. Archetypes: great hearted heroes, the sun warmed golden beaches of Zeus's Greece. Classical homosexuality with its glorification of the masculine principle. That's interesting. The virtues of Apollo, the Sun King, Plato's the good and the true. These archetypes also enhance positive and spacious elements in holotropic breathwork sessions. Sun Jupiter transits support the resolution of father issues, with journeyers more open to receiving support from their male sitters. That's interesting. People often tap into a sense of basic goodness and benevolence in the universe. In the integration phase, they may also have a heightened appreciation for lush scenery, grand vistas, and glorious sunshine. So, just so interesting to see how some of that research in the holotropic sessions that Stanislav Grof did and Richard Tarnas, the psychedelic work that they did, and how they would notice what would come up for people in their psychic altered states, depending on what transits were present. So it's a really interesting piece of astrological history, that astrology would be used as a way of mapping out the internal dynamics of psychedelic experiences, something that I can attest to very powerfully through lots of years of doing ayahuasca regularly while studying astrology and becoming an astrologer, really through the aid of ayahuasca in large part. So anyway, that's a side note. But well, a turning point in terms of the Jupiterian facets of our psyche, our beliefs, our values, the things that give a sense of coherence and meaning and order, morally or philosophically to our lives. It's going through, we're in a turning point, and the constellation of a new way, new values, new ideals is happening all the way up until the next synodic conjunction, which isn't until April. But right now is a really important turning point. There's like a very deep level of letting go. It's been happening for a while now. You could say that through mid to late October, all the way up until the present. And now it's very, actually, I'm sorry, late October through November, and all the way up until now. and now we're reaching this critical turning point, and there's a lot of like just pop right around the winter solstice this year as Jupiter enters Aries. They hit this last quarter moment. So I hope that you can take these themes and then put them alongside of the last quarter moment this week, and that will give you some meaningful insights into your own experiences. Okay, that's what I've got for today. Again, happy Monday. I hope you guys have a great week, and if you're celebrating the holidays in the next week, that you won't kill any of your family members if you're if you're going to be around family, and if not, I hope that you have a peaceful time, whatever you may be doing or whatever you may or may not be celebrating. And don't forget, we're trying to get to 1,608 backers by New Year's Eve. You can find a link to the Kickstarter in the description of this video or the comments section. Your donation means a lot, so thank you so much for considering. Hey everyone, this is Adam Ellenboss from Nightlight Astrology, and today we're going to take a look at Mercury's upcoming trine to the planet Uranus. So Mercury is moving through Capricorn right now and is going to be making a trine to Uranus in the sign of Taurus over the weekend. You should be feeling this connection between the two planets building, or you might start noticing it somewhere in your life. So we're going to give you a sense of what to watch for with this archetypal combination in the next few days, and especially over the weekend. Before we get into it today, I want to remind everybody that we are in the midst of our Kickstarter campaign. We are trying to raise the support of 1,608 backers before New Year's Eve. Right now, we are at about 600 backers, so we have about 1,000 to go. We're not going to be able to get there unless people who enjoy this channel take a moment, follow the link in the description of this video or the comment section below to the Kickstarter. You'll see I leave a link to the Kickstarter in the comment section. Click on that link, go over and say, hey, I listen to this channel and I value it. Here's $5, here's $10, pitch in anything, literally. Everything helps. You can also choose a reward when you donate, including 50% off to all of my online classes. If you bundle them together, we do have some of the 4-class bundles left. That takes the class cost, the savings up to about 75% per class. So that's definitely the best deal we offer. But also there's other special rewards, like a special podcast series I'm doing in the fall. There's the Astrology of 2023, your Sun or Rising Sign horoscope for the year ahead, all these different exclusive talks, some exclusive readings that I offer. So check that out if you like this channel and appreciate it. We deeply appreciate your support. There's a staff of 10 of us. There's also some of the goals we have in the year ahead, like creating a affordable reading service for people so that we can offer donation-based readings to the community. So that's a big goal we're working toward with this year's Kickstarter. When you pitch in and help us get there, you are helping support this channel and a whole team of people and good projects and goals that we have in mind for the year ahead. So thank you to everybody, almost 600 people who have already donated. We deeply appreciate that you took the time to just pitch in. We can't get there without people who enjoy the channel supporting it. So yeah. Also, before we get going, don't forget to like and subscribe, share a comment or two in the comment section. These things help the algorithm pick up on the channel. Always appreciate that. You can find a transcript of any of my daily talks on the website, nightlightastrology.com. All right, so let's go over to the real-time clock and take a look at the transit of Mercury making a trine to Uranus. Now, Venus will eventually make the trine as well, and we're going to visit that next week. Here you can see the two planets connecting through a trine, and this is Saturday, December 17th. So just a few days away from this one, coming into the weekend. But then if we give it about a 3-degree period of separation, that means that we're going to be getting this transit sort of in the air all the way until Monday. At which point, then going into Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of next week, Venus is going through the trine.
Yo,
so it'll be one after the other.
What's up, Postole?
Remember, it's interesting that both of these planets are appearing as evening stars right now. We talked about that yesterday.
No,
They are sort of
man.
carrying the messages of the eclipse into
Yo, what's up?
manifestation, you might say, through their appearances as evening stars. What I find so amazing about
No,
this is
man,
that
that's good, man.
this one
I
in
do a
particular
weird
is
bench
that
press.
right
I
as
do
Mercury
one.
makes the trine to Uranus,
I mean,
almost
if
immediately
I
after,
do it
within just a
with my
couple of
feet
days,
in
and as
the
Venus is
air,
making
yeah,
that
I know it's
trine
weird.
as well,
It's
then
very
Jupiter
strange. I do it
goes
from my
right
back.
into Aries. And
I
that
wouldn't.
Jupiter entering and hitting
I
that
would
0
say
degree Aries
follow
mark is a very
someone's
pivotal and sort of explosive turning point.
like do whatever. Well, I would honestly, if I would
Everyone's going to
say
experience that a
talking from
little
the
bit
heart, do
differently.
whatever you think feels good for your body.
Certainly,
But for
everyone
me,
will
when
be
I lie
talking about
back with my
Jupiter into
feet on
Aries
the
again
ground,
next week a little bit.
it puts way too much strain on my
But
back.
for
So
now,
what I'll show you
the
a bench
way that
press
I'm
with-
looking at
That's why,
Mercury's trine to Uranus is
185
that all of the following themes we're about
it's
to
not
talk
that
about. I'm gonna
heavy,
give you
but
10
with my feet off the
archetypal
ground, I
themes
had
to
no
watch
leverage, so
for
it's just
with
all like
Mercury and Uranus
arms.
over the weekend. But it's
Let me show you.
that
I'll do
these
one rep. I do
themes
like
are
one rep, 1 or 2
preceding
reps
a
of it.
bigger and more explosive turning point signified by Jupiter entering Aries
No,
next
that's
week.
good, man.
So when you see Mercury
Very good.
trine
235 is heavy,
Uranus,
I mean,
a lot,
obviously,
like
it's
for
good
example,
to
one of
build
the,
up and grow, but
I guess,
that's heavy. I've
most
never lifted 235.
textbook basic
over-
archetypal
I've lifted I've lifted 205, but I
say, an
haven't.
explanation or a
could-
description
like,
of
max
that
is probably, I
combination.
don't
Sorry, I
know,
can't talk all of a sudden.
215,
Would
220
be
or something?
sudden
Maybe one rep.
insights. That's actually
I don't
on
think I
my
could do
list. So a
235 right
sudden
now.
original insight. The light bulb goes off. Ding. Well, this is not just any
I'll
short
show you a
little
rep, but I mean,
Mercury
it's just me,
Uranus
though.
trine. This is a Mercury Uranus trine with Venus
Feels good
following
for my
shortly
back,
after,
for my-
both
especially
appearing
my
as
lower
morning stars,
spine.
carrying the eclipse
Sure.
energy, hitting that trine to Uranus, and then bing, Jupiter goes into Aries and ignites
force it, you know,
a
go
very
whatever you feel
pivotal,
comfortable with,
fiery,
listen to your body.
Mars-like change.
I started late. I
So
started lifting late.
that is
I did
that's
karate
pretty exciting. It
when I was
it
younger. I
shifts
got my
the
black
whole,
belt. It was karate for like 7
mood
years. I
around
got
this
after like 4 or 5 years.
Mercury-Uranus dynamic. So we're going to take a look at 10 themes
So I
to
did a
watch
lot
for.
of punching bags.
Mercury,
stuff,
trine,
and
Uranus, 10 themes to watch for.
Look,
And these, remember, consider
started, like,
that
lifting
these
weights,
themes are
really.
all preceding a very pivotal moment for Jupiter
2000
entering Aries next week. Remember,
15,
Jupiter in Aries is a
2016?
cardinal sign. Cardinal,
Like,
the
consistently?
ancient word for it was tropical,
bought
which
stuff,
means
you know.
to turn.
Mainly after my head
the word
injury.
tropos, meaning a turning point or something swiveling.
I had a major head injury in
So
2016.
it's a turning point coming up. It's a cardinal fire sign turning point, which means very spring, youth-like, enthusiastic,
was
with a
in
lot
coma
of
for a
vigor and
day, almost
assertiveness. It's
passed
very
away.
explosive with Jupiter and Aries, and tends to
pulled
make things
through.
big and fast. So it's like a rocket taking off next week, and it's preceded by Mercury trine Uranus. And these following 10 themes are therefore connected. They're like the smoke billowing around the bottom of the rocket before it takes off, you could say. All right, so the 10 themes to watch for. Number 1, original and inventive. You will not find a combination that is more, think outside the box than Mercury and Uranus. Now, any kind of aspect between the two will really produce that delineation. But the trine is especially nice because trines are of the nature of Jupiter, which means that they tend to be very supportive, and they tend to bring in positive, beneficial connections and developments. So you're talking about a planet of mind connecting with a planet of invention and revolution. So you have like this very original and inventive quality in the air. The other way that you will notice this combination coming through, original, inventive, but also suddenness of the mind, a sudden word coming out of your, a sudden like phrase, or like suddenly saying something, suddenly thinking something, suddenly changing your mind. One of the things that I love, like, it's a saying
Yeah,
that we
there's
have
no
in-
way I
in
could
my
put my
house
feet
with
on
our
the ground.
kids. You can change
I
your
even
mind.
started to try
can
to
change your
feel
mind
it,
if
and
you
I
want
couldn't
to.
even put it.
Because sometimes, our girls will
Halfway.
get stuck in like something they're feeling
Very
or thinking,
strange.
and they're just really stuck. And so one of
How
the
do you
things we
posture
say
if
is
I
you can
stand
change
up?
your mind if you want to. You can change your mind about how you feel or what you think. So sometimes that works. Most of the time,
Posture's gonna
like,
backspin.
not so much.
That's how I feel.
But yeah, so
I have
sudden
bigger pecs,
open-mindedness.
bigger arms? Maybe,
Suddenly,
probably,
I'm not
but-
sure I have to think this way anymore. Suddenly, I'm
It's
not
comfortable, it's pretty
sure I'm
comfortable.
going to be stuck
185 is
in that
pretty
same
heavy,
old thought
like
pattern.
that.
Suddenly, I'm
That method.
open-minded about something. Suddenly, I'm considering
It's pretty
something
heavy in
I've never
general. I can only
considered
do like 2
before.
reps, 3 reps.
So the
per
originality
set.
and the inventiveness go along with suddenness and open-mindedness. And these are the breakthroughs coming before Jupiter enters Aries.
If you're asking me this
whatever is
info,
happening here, it's like a little.
if you're at that weight,
it's like a little
you would probably know
flashpoint that
more
leads
about it
to
than me.
a really significant shift. Now,
If you're
again,
actually
not everyone
if
is
that's
going to
like
feel
true.
that
I mean,
equally. A
I
lot of it
believe
has
it's
to do
true.
with what house Jupiter
Obviously,
and Aries is
everything
hitting in your
that's
birth
people
chart, or
writing is
what
true.
planets Jupiter and Aries might
if
be
they lied, then it's
aspecting,
on
or
them.
if Uranus is
I'm not
hitting
saying that
anything
you
on the
lied,
chart
but I'm
right now,
saying
for example.
if you're
But
fucking
notice
lifting
these themes
235
around you. Number 3 is
and you're
problem
at
solving.
170, then
It's
that's
amazing
not
how
just magic
if
strength.
it's like clockwork. The things that I feel stuck
That's
on, that I'm not sure about, that I feel like, well, I just don't know what to do about that. I don't have a strategy or a good answer or a solution to that problem. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, like,
it's not good or
lightning
bad,
striking, or like, what's the?
There's people that are more
You
jacked
guys remember
than me that
was
lift
it
far lighter
3-2-1
weight.
Contact? Does
You know what I mean?
does anyone remember that show?
Because what your goal
And
is.
I think at the beginning of the show they
I wanna
had
be
the little,
strong.
like a little graphic of the
That's what I wanna
apple
be. I
falling
wanna
off
be
the
strong.
tree and hitting Newton in the head. It's like we could have our own little 3-2-1 contact.
And happy. I want to be
next
strong
week.
and happy.
We're ready to learn. We're open to problem solving. We're getting hit by sudden little insights that help us. Suddenly we have the strategy. We have the approach. We see things suddenly that we haven't seen before. Number 4, very similar, a breakthrough in understanding. Oh, so as an astrologer, one of the reasons that I love astrology, and one of the reasons that I believe that it was called the science of Hermes, is that if you spend enough time with astrology, like day in and day out, you are going to find that the way that you have been thinking about a planet or a sign or a combination of planets, if you keep thinking about them and you're just, it's like all of the archetypes become a part of this meditation in your life. And then after a while, it's like, I just don't, you'll reach points where you're like, I had a way of talking and thinking about, say, the 3rd house for a long time. And now I'm stuck and I feel like, that's not quite it. It's not quite it. And this is unique to astrology. I swear to God, this is so thoroughly astrological. Well, maybe it happens in other fields too, but this is a uniquely astrological thing that happens. If you study astrology, you'll be like, I have a way of thinking or talking about this planet or that, whatever, certain metaphors I use, certain images, and then all of a sudden they feel dead. You're like, and this is one of the reasons why, although I hate horoscopes, like, although I don't love making them because I like this kind of content better. The thing about making horoscopes is that you get so sick and tired of saying the same old things that by necessity, because you get so tired of the sound of your own voice saying the same old shit, that you have to finally come up with something new. And the same thing goes for readings. I read charts for people every single day for going on 13 years, almost 13,000 charts or so. My God, you have to find new ways of saying things. It is like clockwork. When Uranus and Mercury get together, boom, suddenly this brand new way of thinking about a planet or a sign or a house or a combination of things appears. And then I'm working with that, for a while until things get stagnant again. I promise you, this is a thing with Mercury and Uranus. You will see this. You'll just get sudden breakthroughs and insights in something you study. Or musicians, they hit plateaus and then suddenly they break through. Weightlifters, they can't lift any more than a certain weight, and then all of a sudden, one day, they have a breakthrough. So breakthrough moments are a big part of Mercury Uranus. Number 5, erratic thinking, talking, and nervousness. Well, I mean, it's kind of like Mercury Uranus in a trine, at the very least, would be like being in a very exciting, coffee house. It's very stimulating. There's lots of ideas. The ideas are almost always promising more than they can deliver. It's like, and there's kind of like a nervous, restless live wire, like, as suddenly it feels like you've taken a line of Coke in a bathroom somewhere, but you haven't. And so what's going on? It's very Mercury Uranus. You can just suddenly feel like you're just a little wired. And like you got plugged into an electrical outlet, and your hair's going to be looking like it's standing up like mine. Hopefully it looks a lot better. But anyway, erratic thinking, talking, nervousness, which can be really fun, but also, like, to be honest, Mercury-Uranus transits can result in like anxiety attacks. Now with the trine and in earth signs, I think you're going to feel a little bit more grounded with this one, and I wouldn't be so nervous about feeling like unstable or ungrounded. But this Mercury Uranus will literally coincide with like a blown transformer or like a live wire being down somewhere and they have to like seal it off and get it, repair it. So, watch for the kind of erratic live wire quality and just, I mean, whether it's the grounding meditation that you do or it's a little sage or something, whatever you got to do to create a little bit of a more containment if you're starting to feel that, just something to watch for. Number 6 would be intellectual arrogance. Now, I've seen, there's gradations of this. This could just be over excitement, like I said, big ideas that don't often deliver as much as they promise. you know, um, I love like okay, here's how I would give it the intellectual arrogance like a pass. Your first cup of coffee in the morning or tea if you have any caffeine. Uh Within that first hour or two, isn't it amazing how great all of your ideas feel? You know what I mean? You're just like everything sounds so good. I think I'm just gonna, you know, I think I'm gonna clean out my whole garage, right now before I go to work. You know? So if you extend that and you imagine you're on that same high, but now you're talking about politics or religion or your Aunt Betty's taste in, clothing or something, like your ideas can become overly confident and your intellect, and at the worst, it could become like you could be a really obnoxious, like super, like all of my ideas are the best ideas in the world. Everything I think is right. I have no need to learn anything new. So the hubris, mentally, intellectually, or verbally, something to watch for, but also just like, I don't know, have some mercy and compassion for like excitability and exaggeration, because sometimes it's just fun. Number 7, nervous stimulation. This would be the need to do things that are very like stimulating, whether that's like going for a run or suddenly you're like, I've got the urge to buy what are those things called? Peloton. Like I'm going to go buy a Peloton right now. So you could do something like that. You could suddenly find that uh, are you a fidget toy person? I know like some people will have something to fidget with at their desks. This is the kind of day where you might find that like, you're looking for a fidget toy existentially. Just make sure that it's not a person. Oh, it could be taken so many wrong ways. Just make sure it's not a person that you're sitting there and jabbing and poking and annoying with constant chatter all day. Oh my god. See, I'm like possessed by the very energy that I'm talking about. All right, anyway, so nervous stimulation, the need for it or the potential for it to be ungrounding. Number 8 is technological breakthroughs. So, with technological breakthroughs, this could be something really simple, like realizing that you need a printer. Oh, a printer is going to make my life so much easier. A scanner, I don't know, whatever. Or it could be that if you're someone like me, and I remember there was a Mercury Uranus transit when I got new equipment for this office for filming and doing my content creation. It's like, oh, breakthrough in technology, new technology that's a little bit better than the old stuff I was using. So sometimes just like an upgrading your technological. It could be something also like, oh my God, I'm getting a car that has some fancy, computer system in it, or maybe there's just some new way of doing business or making your work a little bit easier, a new approach or technique or strategy, almost like an inventive way of doing something to save time. But technological breakthroughs would be another one. And then number 9, athletic achievements or breakthroughs. Now, interestingly, Mercury was associated with sports. Hermes was associated with like wrestling and court games, the sport of debate, as well as anything now that goes back and forth, back and forth. Mercury has an association with games. So uh, for example, anything that would involve some kind of quirky or fun or eccentric or surprising or unexpected game playing. Like I could see myself in the next couple of days getting really creative and like something creative and weird will happen and we'll play some fun games, me and the girls. Or there could be something where you see like an athletic milestone or achievement. It'll be like some really a remarkable thing. For example, as a Minnesota Vikings fan, This comes through on Saturday when Justin Jefferson could potentially break the single season receiving record set by Randy Moss on the Vikings. Like, that would not surprise me on a day where Mercury is trying to Uranus. So any kind of breakthrough achievement, especially in any kind of gaming and like fun, or setting a record for the highest points ever scored on Yahtzee, you know what I mean? And finally, number 10, overall,
Damn,
the
53.
urge, mentally, verbally, in your nervous system, the need and urge for freedom. Independence, freedom, free spiritedness, free thinking, the need to emancipate yourself from structures of thought that are limiting or oppressive, like that. It'll be a very strong impulse. And remember, any and all of these things, which might be, more fleeting in any other transit, are very powerful, because what comes after? Next week, right after this energy comes through, remember, Venus will then trine Uranus, creating some of the same things, but in a more Venusian way. And then boom, it's Jupiter into Aries. So watch for these things to be part of a pivot that's happening next week that's pretty dramatic. All right, that's what I've got for today. A little bit shorter. It's my daughter's birthday today, so this video is a little bit shorter because I want to make sure I have lots of time to get downstairs and celebrate while she's just getting back from school right now. So anyway, yeah. Last thing, don't forget, we still need 1,000 people, if you can believe that, in a little less than 3 weeks now, to pitch in and contribute to our Kickstarter campaign. I believe we can do it. I really do. I think we can still get there. Choose a reward when you donate. You can find the link in the description or comments of this video. And literally, like a $5 donation helps us reach our goal as much as a $100 donation does. Of course, I think we have really great rewards that you can choose from, but literally just the appreciation of the audience and people just saying, hey, you know what? $5 is not that much to pay for a channel that I love year round. So if you have that in you, if not, we appreciate prayers and good wishes too, that we might reach some of our goals this year, so we can build and develop some of the things we want to do and keep supporting this channel. All right, that's what I've got. I hope you guys have a great day, and we will see you again tomorrow. Take it easy, everyone. Bye.
And astrology in that sense is massively reassuring, because it says, yeah, it's meant to be uncomfortable, it's meant to collapse at the 3D level in order to get us to a better place. But
okay, my beautiful friends, are you ready to have some fun? Because we are. We always have fun. And that's the truth here. So, this is my, of course,
This one's
absolutely
ridiculous.
lovely. And yes, I'm in a good mood. Why is Greg Manarino in a good mood? Honestly, probably because I'm here with all of you. That's the truth. Markets today, really nothing special going on. But still, doesn't matter. Remember, in case you forgot, we are surrounded with what? What am I going to tell you? Little puffs of loveliness. And they're just everywhere. They're just all over the freaking place. and they make me happy, just like you do. All right, people. So yes, as I said, post-market wrap-up, and we have some stuff to talk about. Before we get to the markets, I want to just cover a little bit of the headlines here. So home builder sentiment continues to crater. I mean, this is like an ongoing saga. It doesn't stop here. Okay, what does that tell us? Things are pretty damn shitty. But I think we knew that already. Core inflation continues to rise. Imagine my shock here. Core inflation, minus food and energy. They always like to strip those things out because they feel that price action in food and energy, is just temporary or transitory. Okay, how's that working out? How about it isn't? Anyway, with regard to food and energy, people, look, we already know what they're doing here. There's going to be shortages, food, water, supplies, and with regard to energy, same damn thing.
So, I'm so scared about that, man.
What can we expect? Well, you tell me. Okay, you don't got to be a rocket scientist to figure this stuff out.
We're totally
now,
at their
with that
mercy,
said,
like
let's
100%.
just go look over here at this market.
In an instant.
Okay, we finished lower today across the
in a
board.
Week.
Let me just say this. When you have
week.
a sell-off on a Friday followed through by a sell-off on a Monday, it's generally not a good sign. We'll see how it plays out because risk in this market, although it remains elevated, is stable, at least for now. But the fact of the matter is, the bad economic news doesn't stop. And it won't stop because, again, what are central banks doing? Deliberately going out of their way to make sure they crush the economy, bring the world economy and an entire class of people to their knees so central banks can fulfill their end game. Speaking of that, I want to read this to you, and I want you to have this. All right, we'll talk more about that in a moment. So on the back of the market selling off today, okay, nothing major. 10-year yield came up, relative dollar strength flat, MMRI slightly higher, crude oil did pretty good. About the only winner today was crude oil. Bitcoin, crypto's falling under some pressure here. Gold and silver, same thing. All right, all well, lovely, fantastic, and good. What are you and I doing about all this? We're not going to deviate ever from our plan. Our plan is epic. Betting against the debt, becoming our own central bank, understanding the debt hyper bubble is going to get a lot worse. And with regard to the debt hyper bubble, we're going to go back to this here. Clearly, people, there are cracks in the global debt hyper bubble. We've seen this for a long time. We've had instability in the debt market, all that wavering all over the place. Just a couple of months ago, central banks jumping in here, kind of, buying it all so they can push the illusion of stability.
Yeah, good point. They're definitely going to
going
use the psychological warfare because they have been in the last few years.
The disconnect, as you all know, between the markets and
to
the
clown
economy
world levels
continues to get greater. The stock market is in la la land, wherever that may be. It's not a nice place from what I've heard. Okay, I don't want to be in la la land. Let's talk about reality. So what I want to do is I want to read this to you. But not only do I want to read this to you, I want you to have your own copy of this. If you are a subscriber to my free newsletter, this is already in your inbox. So check your inbox. If you are not a subscriber to my free newsletter, free, subscribe and you will get a copy of this. And I just want to go over this with you. And I want to, like I always do when I read these things, I want to cover a little bit more. This is only about one page and about that much, so it's really not a lot, but it's very important. And when I write some of these, I want you to have it because I want you to make a file of something you could look back on in the future, or stuff just to study, because this stuff, trust me on this, you're not going to find anywhere else. So the title of this article: Visible Signs of a Cracking Debt Hyperbubble. Let's talk about this, you and me.
Mandarino guy, man.
By me, all right? Some of this stuff is review. Some of it's going to be new. If you're new here,
He looks so
stick around, 'cause
professional.
you're going to like it.
This looks
So
so
people, what
professional.
do you and I know? Okay, this is not here, but I'm going to just say it. Consumer debt, household debt, personal debt continue to skyrocket with no end in sight here, and it's not going to stop. This is a phenomenon that you and I have discussed right here from I don't know how long ago, how this would play out, and it's happening right before our eyeballs. Truly. All right, so here we go. The average person here in the United States and around the world is dangerously over-leveraged. What does that mean? They're borrowing and continue to borrow. Meanwhile, let's read on, and yet they continue to borrow even more. Credit card debt is exploding as people are struggling just to make ends meet. People are using their credit cards not just to make a purchase that they're going to pay off over time, but to survive. To survive. And this is, again, causing people to be very hyper over-leveraged. And that's a very dangerous situation. What is the backbone of this? Debt, slavery, slaves to the system, something I talk about every freaking day. All right, let us move forward here. Okay, with no end in sight, loan defaults across the board are picking up, and according to TransUnion, you know, the big credit rating agency, loan defaults will continue to accelerate moving forward. Today, 63% of U.S. households, according to their own numbers, are currently living paycheck to paycheck with zero savings, and yet these same people continue to borrow. They continue to borrow. What are they doing? They're assuring themselves a front row seat on the dog shit train down the rat hole into financial obscurity and debt slavery. And that's really what this is all about. Second part, banks are in trouble. No, you are. Why is that? Okay. As I have covered over the past, I don't know how long, maybe a month. No deposits, no loans, no deals. What's going on here? Okay, so I've explained to all of you that the banks are in trouble. But the fact of the matter is, you're in trouble because you can expect the banks will survive anything. You and me, we're expendable, okay? Bail-ins, bailouts, however it works. So let me just keep going. Bank liquidity is literally drying up as the savings rate is now in the negative. Okay, no secret. New viable loans, that is loans that will actually be paid back, are few and far between, as former members of the middle class are defaulting on their debt at an accelerated pace. Right? This is not Greg Manarino. This is verifiable information. Meanwhile, and this is what's going on here, as rates are rising, the rich people and the well-off people, let me just read this. Meanwhile, the rich and well-off are now using cash to purchase big-ticket items like real estate and cars, automobiles, as interest rates rise. So the rich and the well-off, they're sidestepping the whole debt slavery system as it costs more to borrow. So, hey, they're putting cash to work. But the rest of the people are taking it straight, deep, and hard in the gabagool. All right, here we go. The current environment for banks is not good, and that should scare you. Why? Because these institutions will not be allowed to fail. You remember too big to fail? No. You can fail, they won't fail. Okay? So bail-ins and bailouts will again at some point in the future become a reality. How many of you doubt that what I just said is true? Do you believe, first of all, you know how the financial system works. It's insolvent, period. And it operates in fantasy land. So with that said, you're going to bail it all out. Either bail in or bail out. You decide, maybe both. All right. Next section. Inflation continues to rise. Despite the current actions of the Federal Reserve, Swiss National Bank, European Central Bank, and the Bank of England, all of which just miraculously by coincidence all raised rates the same amount, 50 basis points, inflation continues to rise. Therefore, the currencies which they lend to the world, these central banks lend their currency to the world, including you, okay? They lend this currency to you because the bills in your pocket or your bank accounts are not yours. You may work for them, you may get up every day and pour your sweat into earning or getting these units of debt in your accounts here, but they're not yours. They are owned by the issuing central bank and owed back to the issuing central bank plus interest that they create out of nothing, out of thin freaking air. Well, this continues to lose more of its purchasing power virtually every single day. Real wages, that is the actual, what people are earning based against the actual rate of inflation, is in free fall, again with no end in sight. Henceforth, why people are swiping and swiping and swiping and swiping their freaking credit cards. Ever expanding money supply. I broke this into little important sections for you. The fact is this, and you know this already if you are a follower of this blog. Without the continual expansion of the global money supply, the entire financial system would lock up. Every central bank issued note, in whatever form it may exist in, represents a unit of debt. You all know this, which must be paid back to the lovely issuing central bank plus interest created from nothing. There we go again. The overall effect of an expanding money supply is inflation. Duh. Meanwhile, the "duh" is not in there. Central banks, via the mainstream propaganda ministries, continue to sell the lie that by raising rates at some time in the future, a miracle is going to happen. A freaking miracle. And inflation is going to drop. The silence is deafening. All right. As you well know, you're very versed in this if you follow this blog, but pay attention. If any central bank actually wanted to stop or control inflation, all it would have to do is contract the money supply by requiring the financial institutions to increase their capital reserves. Can I get a duh, please? Okay. To date, not a single mainstream financial channel has uttered a word on this, nor a single politician, nor a central banker, and you won't hear anything ever about this anywhere. Okay, this is a big secret that's being kept from the people of the world. Why? Well, because the goal of every central bank is to continue to inflate. And if people for a nanosecond were told that central banks could in fact contract the money supply, again, by having financial institutions increase capital reserves, then that would poof cause inflation to disappear. Well, then people would start to say, wait a minute, what's going on here? They can't be allowed to know the truth. Okay, so the goal of every central bank is to continue to inflate. This is why you're never going to hear about what I just told you. A central bank's ability to inflate, to issue debt, is their single source of power, which also means it's their Achilles heel. Bring down the central banks. You know what I'm going to tell you, at least I hope so. You want to end central banking, people? It's easy. It's a simple thing to do. Honestly, now listen, I'm going to sum this up in 2 more sentences and we're done. Prevent a central bank from issuing $1 single of more debt. The nanosecond that a central bank is stopped from issuing more debt, as the currency itself is debt, the entire central banking system ends. And I want to show you this last part. Are you ready? And we win. And we win. Until central banking comes to an end, none of this is going to stop. It's going to get exponentially worse as the propaganda and the lies and the tales and the distractions get even worse. You understand? This is very important stuff, people. And I can guarantee you there are very few people in the world, honestly, that understand what I just put in this 1.5 page. And like I said, I want you to have this. And if you subscribe to my free newsletter, it's already in your inbox. So get your copy of this, make a file, study this stuff. Look, share this stuff. If you do get a copy from my free newsletter, feel free to share this stuff, because I can guarantee you're not going to find this stuff anywhere else. And I think it's so important for us to all understand what's happening, and I think you would have to agree. I don't know what people are waiting for. Maybe you do. Maybe you can enlighten me. The situation is dire, and it's going to get even worse. But what are people doing about it? Nothing. See, you and I, we're trying to make a difference. All I want to do on this, when I pass away one day, I want people to say, there was a guy, his name was Greg Manarino, who tried to make a positive difference in the world, who really put all he could into trying to educate people and bring them up to speed as to how the global financial system really works. Its dark underbelly. That's all I want to be remembered for. I'm being honest. A guy who tried to make a positive difference in the world. And I hope I am. All of you out here, you have no idea the positive difference you make in my life. I read through these comments and I see the frustration. I listen to them, and you guys and girls out there, and I see most of you are on the same page as I am, and that makes me feel good to realize that I'm not the only one. I really think, gauging from the fact that this video blog is now nearing on 100 million views, we're doing something right. As I always tell you, this isn't my thing, just Greg Manarino. This is our thing. Like I say, if it weren't for you guys and girls, who would even know I freaking exist? Or this blog exists. It's all of you who take this stuff, who share it, who get this stuff out on your social networks. I'm nowhere. I count on all of you to do that. This is not my thing. It's our thing. You know what I'm saying? All right, look, I'm going to let you go. It's getting kind of long, but I want to hear from you. If you do have a copy of this, please leave me a comment. I'm already getting a lot of comments about this. On my free newsletter, there's an area where people can comment there, and let's all contribute in a positive way. And like I said, try to make,
as you can see, I don't put my
a
feet on the
difference in the
ground
world. It's
back.
really all that matters to me. All right, this guy here loves you a lot. I mean that.
But it works.
And I'll see you all in the morning. I'm looking forward to it. That's all. Okay, everybody, here we go. Another freak show week, and it's going to be just freaking lovely. So, yes, Monday, December 19, 2022. People, let's start off with, with this. And
what an introduction.
I don't know about you, but I want to know what you think about what I'm about to tell you here. So it turns out that loan defaults continue to rise at an alarming pace. As a matter of fact, at their fastest pace ever. So loan defaults are skyrocketing. Automobile repossessions, skyrocketing. Meanwhile, credit card debt is hyper ballooning. People continue to swipe their credit cards. This phenomenon, we covered it right here. We said, I don't know how long ago, that we would see exactly what we're seeing now. Unless you really live under a rock somewhere, and I don't know, maybe some of you do. Sometimes I wish I did, and I could disconnect myself from this entire environment. The fist feeding of bullshit and lies and crap to people via the television is reaching a fever pitch yet again. Everything is phenomenal. Everything is great. Central banks are doing everything they can to try to stop inflation. And none of it is true. And that's what really gets to me here. People are hurting on a grand scale, and they don't know any way out other than to swipe that credit card, swipe that credit card, swipe that credit card. Again, assuring themselves a seat on the dog shit train down the rat hole into financial obscurity. And they're not going to stop. We are witnessing a phenomenon, again, that you and I knew would happen from I don't know how many years ago. This creation of a new feudal system, a new two-tier society, extreme haves, extreme have-nots, and the middle class just literally getting squashed down to the lower rung of society, and all in an effort here to make people dependent on the system. And look, this mechanism here, you are well aware of this, is only going to get worse. And people are doing it to themselves. I mean, they're allowing people, they're giving people enough rope, enough to hang themselves, causing people to struggle, causing people to deal with skyrocketing inflation, which continues to rise. I'm sitting here this morning flipping through the mainstream financial channels, and they're selling another lie. Well, it's part of the same lie. Inflation is getting better. Things are looking rosy down the line. No, they're not. Inflation continues to rise. It is maybe not hitting the targets that the so-called rocket scientists, brain-dead, retarded, economists keep putting out. We're doing better because we're not hitting the targets that the imbecile freaking whatever these freaking people are, economists are supposed to know everything. No, it's all bullshit anyway. I don't even think these people exist. I think these so-called polled economists, they're just made up. They just conjured up out of thin air. They make these studies up and they fist feed that to you and me. It's all bullshit. Like all the data they give us, it's all nonsense. So anyway, so with that said, that's the situation here. I want you to ponder this. We have a global economy contracting at its fastest pace
doomer.
on record.
Took the doomer
ever.
pill.
We've never seen anything like this in the history of the financial world.
He's in the
We have
denial
loan
phase.
defaults skyrocketing here. We have automobile repossessions skyrocketing. Meanwhile, people continue to swipe those credit cards. And according to President Bidenstein, lonely man himself, looks like the ghoul, doesn't he? People are earning more money. This is bullshit. Real wages, people, are falling off of a cliff faster than they ever have before. That is what people are earning based against inflation. And central banks, what are they doing? What did we hear over the weekend out of the mouth of Yellowstone Powell? We're going to continue to raise rates here. And we're hearing the same thing, exact rhetoric out of the Bank of England, the Swiss National Bank, European Central Bank. I mean, all of them, they're all saying the same things, but they don't coordinate. You know that. You know how they don't, because Powell said they don't. They talk all the time on the phone, but they do not coordinate. Bullshit. And they're all saying the same thing here. Tell me again, please. What is the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome? I think that actually isn't the definition of insanity, but it sure sounds right to me. So central banks are going to continue to raise rates in an environment where the economy is cratering, where we have Fed presidents, Daly, saying more people need to lose their jobs. In other words, the economy has to get worse for inflation to slow down. Meanwhile, people, the silence remains deafening. It's deafening to me. Not a peep, not a word, not a hint, not a clue of the number one thing that central banks could actually do to stop inflation in its tracks, and that is contract the money supply. Why are you not hearing this? You know it as well as I do, because the goal here of central banks is to continue to inflate by any means necessary. Whatever they got to do. This is the biggest secret being held from the people of the world, I think, right now, in probably financial history, because you're not hearing it anywhere, how central banks have the power to contract the money supply by forcing financial institutions to hold higher capital reserves. That would contract the money supply. By doing so, inflation would disappear. But no, they're out here telling you that they got to raise rates, they got to raise rates, they got to raise rates. And eventually, someday in the future, whenever that may be, we're going to get lower inflation and people are going to start partying like it's 1999. Oh, we passed 1999 because it didn't work out too well. But you see what I'm talking about? So more of the same bullshit, rhetoric, dog shit, cat shit, bird shit, reptile shit, ant shit, roach shit, whatever other kind of shit you can think about, they're going to be flinging right in your freaking face, and they're expecting you to, smile as that stuff hits you in the freaking face. Telling you people, they're really on a mission to destroy all of us, honestly. So here's another big piece of news. This guy has been explaining that commodities are the place to be for a very, very long time. We've seen crude oil and energy prices fall as of late here, but it's not going to last. We got a warning here from energy producers saying they're at extremely low capacity. What do we know is going to happen moving forward here? The pressure on the people of the middle class is going to continue to get greater and greater. Look, the well-off and the rich, they can pay higher prices for things, you understand? But people that are already struggling, swiping that credit card as if there's no tomorrow, and there isn't any tomorrow for these people in the sense that they can maintain that illusion moving forward, they're going to starve people to death, okay? And they're going to crush people to death under skyrocketing energy prices. This is their next move. That's their next move here. So be prepared for it. Maybe even another mysterious disease process that they're going to want to vax you for. That might come out too. Be ready for anything. I've been telling people to have the high ground for years. Be ready for whatever they're going to throw at us, people. I'm telling you, because we haven't even seen anything as of yet. So with regard to commodity prices, I really feel that's the place to be. There's a lot of spots to be in here right now. Large cap dividend paying ETF stocks as a hedge in this market, which is eventually going to crumble, but I don't think it's anytime soon just yet, because central banks aren't done inflating by a long shot. They're going to continue to buy the debt. They're going to continue to give the illusion or push the illusion that things are stable and things are okay. That's how you know they're not okay. All right. So bet against the debt, become your own central bank. Maybe look at, there's several exchange traded funds out here that will give you exposure to commodities. I think you need to hold this stuff in your own hand, gold and silver. I think these assets are going to skyrocket moving forward here. And look, all this is predicated upon the debt market meltdown, which is coming. Eventually, I mean, we're seeing cracks in it all over the place here. But central banks are going to continue to fake, continue to project the illusion of stability here. And that's why I still believe that the stock market may run higher depending on what the relative strength of the dollar does, depending on what the 10-year yield does, and the MMRI. Right now, the MMRI came up this morning. Last time I looked at it, it was 231. So a little more risk in this market right now. The relative dollar strength is about flat this morning. 10-year yield slightly higher. You got cryptocurrencies under a little tiny bit of pressure. Gold and silver relatively flat. Crude oil catching a bid. Stock futures this morning are, I would say, at the flat line here. Doesn't look like anything dramatic is going to happen. Look, we know where to look. We know what we're doing, and we know why we're doing it. So putting together the picture of what's happening around us and ignoring the propaganda ministry. Everything is fine. You're doing great. People are, couldn't be doing better. Really, honestly, no. And I don't think I need to tell you that, because I'm sure a lot of you out here are saying, hold on a minute, that's not what I'm seeing. But that's the job of the propaganda ministry, is to propagandize you and try to convince you that what you're seeing and feeling for yourself is not real. Float out retarded presidents to tell you that inflation is coming down, to tell you that people are earning more money. Float out Fed presidents that are going to try to keep you off balance. This one's going to say that story. This one's going to tell you another tale. That's just the way it is. You got to wade through the bullshit and be able to see what's coming on down the pike here. So look, for you and I, it just doesn't change a damn thing. We're going to remain on track, remain aware, keep the high ground, bet against the debt, become your own central bank, hold hard assets, maybe gain some access to commodities here as well. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put together a list of commodity ETFs that you might want to look at here. Okay, I'm not recommending you buying any of these things, okay, because I already told you, I got in trouble for this twice. But I am going to put together a list, and I'm going to put it out in my newsletter. So if you are not a subscriber to my newsletter, it's free to everybody. Description of this video, along with the MMRI and everything else. So I'll put that together. I'll get that out like today or tomorrow, that ETF list, which will give you exposure to commodities here other than gold and silver. Anyway, that's where we stand, people. I think you have a really good handle on it. Put this stuff together. Let me know what you think. Are you seeing the same things as Greg Manarino, or something a little bit different here? And look, just because I come out here every day, twice a day, and I tell you what's on my mind, right or wrong, I tell you what I'm thinking as clearly and as directly as I can. Some people can't handle that, and that's okay. It doesn't mean I'm right either. All right, I'm just telling you what I see, and I think gauging from. Do you realize? Honestly, I want to tell all of you a big secret here. This blog is nearing 100 million views. 100 million views. You know what that tells me? That tells me I'm doing something right. And all of you, this is, are a key here. You're the ones that get my work out here. I'm nowhere. I am nowhere. What kind of a guy like me has no social media exposure? Well, you're looking at one. And meanwhile, I'm nearing on 100 million views. That's all of you. That's all of you getting this stuff out there. I can't thank you enough for that. This guy here loves you a lot. Please comment. Let me know what you're seeing. It's important. And I will see all of you at the end of the day, okay?
That was kind of, there we go. All right, bring some damn energy. How are you guys doing? You doing good? Yeah, put your phone down, man, I'm talking. What are you doing? You out of your freaking mind? All right, unless you're taking notes, let's do this, right? I'm already chastising the room. Hey, great to be with you. Lee, thanks for that intro. I'm a big fan of Lee's. If you get any chance to get involved with him, I know he took applications today, you should do it. To be honest with you, while guys that we coach, I watch them, they grow and get better and better and better. And one of the people I've been talking about a lot lately is Lee. Just I've seen him. He was already a really impressive guy, but the more he's stepped in, you're watching a dude like step into his power. Have you, any of you that know Lee a while, is that not true? Yes? So if you get a chance to, yeah, absolutely. You get a chance to work with him. I hope you take advantage of it. What I want to do today is I don't like to give like an average talk. I remember the days where no one wanted to listen to me, so I'm always grateful when people do. I don't forget that. And so I spent more of my life a broke person than I have a rich person. And I spent more of my life someone nobody knew than that other people now do know, right? And so I'm really grateful for it. It's not something that I take lightly. I don't take your time lightly either. So I have a huge ambition here, which is I'd like this next hour to help change your life. So I've set the bar high. We'll see whether or not we accomplish that, but at least make some kind of a difference in your life. So a couple things about sales I just want to say first. Facts tell, stories sell. And all the people that I know that are the best at influence or teaching influence are great storytellers. Their ability to make a point through a story is better than any fact that they can give you. And what I want to do first, because I want to set this straight because that was a really great introduction, I'd like you to know the person that existed prior to all that stuff Lee said. So I'd like to give you a little bit of hope. Is that good? Say yes. So I am an average, ordinary human being. And I don't like, when I speak, I don't like to be, I used to say I'm below average, but the fact is I don't think that's really true. I actually think everybody's born with giftedness. I think every single human being's born with some natural giftedness. And when you figure out what those gifts are, you use them in the service of other people, you start living a pretty blissful life. And for me, it didn't take very long for me to find out what my gifts were. It's not IQ, it's not that I'm 6'4", I'm not the strongest dude in the world, I'm not the funniest dude in the world, but I am a pretty good communicator and I'm a really good listener. I love being present with people, and one of my gifts is I sincerely care about people. And you ought to be thinking about what your gifts are. Because it's easy. You look at guys that I coach, if you look at some of the golfers that I coach or the UFC guys, my guy I coached last weekend won, Dominic Cruz, Michael Chandler's another buddy of mine. You look at these people that I work with, they could see their physical gifts. Chandler's got quads that are like this big, right? Or LeBron 6'8" can jump out of a gym. We know those are the gifts. But what are your gifts? Like if you could take a real inventory of them, I ask high performers, even like you guys, what's your giftedness? And you'd have a hard time telling me. Because you discount what they are, right? You discount, maybe you're not like for me, we just did an IQ test in my family. I was 4th out of 4 people in my own house, right? That's a true deal. Not that I'm dumb, just I don't have a high IQ. I've been able to identify what my gifts are. I can transfer energy to people. I will outwork your ass, right? I'm intense. Those are gifts. And when you start to leverage your gifts, it doesn't feel like work anymore. So I always had these gifts that were mine. You've got yours. If you'll take an inventory of what they are, you'll be a more wealthy, productive person. I've been able to build a significant 9-figure net worth in my life. I've been able to coach some of the top athletes, entertainers, politicians on the planet, and I'm a goober. So I want you to think, if a goober dude like me could end up doing that stuff, what could you accomplish? And I don't say that to you, and thank you. I don't say that to be self-deprecating either. I'm a really goofy dude. And if you left me to my own devices, I'd lay around watching Jerry Springer, eating Cheetos all day long. I like that. I'm lazy. People always ask my wife, what's it like to be with my lad? He's always maxing out. She's like, it's not really that big of a deal. right? Like he's got a lot of routines and disciplines that override, because I met my wife when I was 5. So I'm 50 next month. I've known her 45 years. We're sick of each other, I'm gonna be honest with you. But no, I'm kidding. She's hot as hell. If you've seen her too, you'd be like, dude, I thought you closed her when you had money. Nope, I closed her when I was broke. So, but let me give you an idea of who I am. Can we put that thing up on the screen? Y'all need to see something. Where's that clicker at? It's on one of these 2 tables. Well, probably I picked the wrong one. Thank you. All right, who am I really? I've always wanted to be somebody. Anybody relate to that? Say yes or no. I mean, like, I need to be somebody. I don't want to be. There's a bunch of jokers want to be somebody. I need to be somebody, right? Are you like that or not? Like, see, the separator I've always found, whether it's Brady, or I've had Mickelson on my show, Tony Robbins, whoever the heck you've seen on my show before. The guy, Randolph, who founded Netflix, the separator's like, they need it. I need it. I needed to be somebody. I wasn't playing with my life. When I was 30 years old, I had my first heart attack. My uncle, I'm Italian, and my family, kind of your godfather's a big deal. My dad's brother died at 50 of a massive heart attack, and I looked just like him. So I've always not played with my life. So I might not be the fastest, the strongest, the smartest, none of that crap, but I will outwork your ass, and I flat out want it more than you. And if you're that type of a dude, I'm going to show you how you can win. I'm going to give you some of the exact things I did. I don't care if you're 65 years old or 25 years old in this room. One of my companies, I just promoted a 74-year-old dude who said 2 strokes, went from nothing to start with us bankrupt, making $2 million a year right now. So I don't care what your age is. But I've always wanted to be somebody. You probably heard that term, fake it till you make it. Any of you ever done that before? Okay, some of you may know this, but Lee wanted me to tell you this. I'm the ultimate fake it till you make it. When I told you where I was a goober and you see me, I just bought Larry Ellison's Global Express jet. Guy runs a little company called Oracle, 5th richest dude in the world. I own his jet now. I'm a brag. You know the reason I flew commercial here? Because I'm fixing the shower on my own jet. I just wanted to say that out loud. I got a shower on my damn jet. Right? Like, think about that crap. My wife's like, the Mile High Club. I'm like, babe, we're doing it in the shower in the Mile High Club. Right? And we grew up in Pomona, California. Let me tell you something. We're not exactly hood rats, but we lived right next to the hood, and I could see the rats, like that close. So we're kind of hood rats, right? So I know what that's like. My first job, I was an electrician. Then I was a bus boy at the whole enchilada. That was an upgrade because they let me go as an electrician because I couldn't show up to work and get there by 6 a.m. And then I was a bag boy at Safeway. And then I worked at an orphanage that changed my life, and then I became in the financial business and got wealthy. There's nothing about me. So I wanted to be rich. I started in a financial company. I'm like, hey, I can't be driving around like, I had a Honda CRX. And everywhere I go to appointments, by the way, someone broke into my car. It's a true story. Someone broke into my Honda CRX, and instead of, the radio had already been stolen. I was parked at LA University. This is no joke. I had an appointment there. I came out. They stole the passenger seat. Who the hell steals a passenger seat? Like, are you looking around? I got to get a passenger seat of a Honda CRX, right? Dude steals my passenger seat. I assume it was a dude. So I'm like, I got to get a car. I'm driving around with a rock as my passenger seat, trying to be this big baller financial dude. Any of you relate to that? Like, maybe even COVID did it to you. Like, hey, I was doing pretty good, but right now I'm pretending as hell, right? And oftentimes, all our careers, we can feel like an imposter. I remember even as I started to do, I'm like, this is a fluke. They're going to figure out I fluked this. Somehow I'm going to come back to where I belong. I thought that for years. I was worried for years I was going to lose what I had gained because they're going to figure out what a dumbass I am. Because I've been told that when I was a kid over and over again. So I thought, man, I need to drive a Mercedes for people to take me damn serious. The problem is I had this like champagne dream on like a Schlitz beer budget. So I'm reading in the Penny Saver and it says, Kit Car Mercedes. Here's one of the articles right here. Up for sale or trade. I have a one-of-a-kind 1997 Mercedes-Benz 600 convertible kit car that's built on an 88 Chrysler LeBaron frame. You think I'm playing with you? I read this article in the Penny Saver. I'm like, hey, what is a kit car? I started Googling it. Turns out you can get a Chrysler LeBaron, strip that sucker of the frame, and you can weld onto it a Mercedes body. Everybody will think you have a Mercedes. I'm not playing with you. I did this. $4,000 instead of $44,000. I'm like, that's a damn deal, right? And so, no, it gets better. The deal, though, is if you really know cars, it's 2 feet longer. So when you're driving it, car people are pointing at you like, what the hell is that thing? And it rattles. So I find this one for $4,000. I drive down to Dana Point, and I meet this young lady. I'm pretty sure there may be some methamphetamine involved in her existence at the time. And I'm like, tell me about your kit car. And she comes out, she kind of waddles out. She goes, well, this one's not exactly like the other ones. I'm like, so they weld these things together? She goes, yeah, typically, but this one is Velcroed. It's Velcroed. I'm like, explain that to me. She said, we couldn't afford the welding, so my ex-boyfriend Velcroed the kit to the car. I'm not playing with you. It's a true story. So she goes, I'm just warning you, if you buy this thing, the heater blows full time, because it's a LeBaron, and if you pull up to a stoplight too fast and hit the brakes, this front headlight will fly out into that intersection, because the Velcro's loose. I'm like, I got it, no problem. I give her the $4,000, and I start driving around this kit car. Now, thank God, you think I'm social media star now? I'd have been viral as hell back in 1997. Because what I would do more than 100 times, Mr. Jets and all that stuff here, more than 100 times, there you go, full fiberglass body. By the way, do you have any idea which one's the real one? Can you tell from the picture? Which one? The left? Which is the left? The blue or the gray? What's real? Which one? Gray's the real one? Right on. Nong. Nope, the gray one is the fake one. That's my old ride. See that left front light right there? Notice the little gap right there, isn't that awesome? That left front light, more than 100 times I have pulled up to an intersection. Thank God there was no social media. There weren't cameras on phones back in the day. I pulled up in my cheap suit, and that front headlight went whoop out into an intersection. I would get out of my car, stop freaking traffic. You imagine you sitting at a headlight watching some asshole pull out his... I'm picking up my headlight. I would walk back to my own car, stick it back on, and then jump back in the car again. And just look straight ahead. Except about 20 of those times, I was so wound up and doing it fast, I slammed the door, fell right back off the car. Velcro got me. I lived in that car for 2 years. I actually got arrested in it. Got arrested in it because I got pulled over. I had my whole sales team at a retreat like this. They all thought it was a Mercedes. I had lied to them. I said, this is the first ever hybrid. Because at that time, Mercedes and Chrysler had merged. No joke, go look it up. And I'm like, hey, this is the first ever hybrid car. These are going to be all over the place. That's why the inside looks like a LeBaron, the outside's a Benz. Lied my ass off. Facts tell, stories sell. So we're at a retreat like this. I got 20 of my top dudes with me, and I've got a guy with me. My best friend is a guy named Dan Charlier. Dan Charlier is an African-American man, okay? He's my best friend. I was best man in 3 of his weddings, so trust me, I'm best friends with him, okay? And Charlier, we're going to a place called Lodi, California. Charlier says to me, hey man, there's no brothers in Lodi. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, dude, we're going to get pulled over in Lodi. I'm like, get out of here. This whole race, white thing, you're crazy. He goes, brother, there's no brothers in Lodi. Sure enough, we leave this retreat. We're driving. I get lost. We get pulled over. He goes, I told you. I told you. Next thing I know, my whole sales team is 20 cars back about 100 yards watching this take place. Cop comes up to the car. He says, stick your hands out of the car. I said, sir, what is this all about? He says, get your hands out of the car. Get my hands out, opens the door, cuffs me, puts me in the back of a police car. I'm back there for about 30 minutes. Charlie Ace to my right is like, I told you, dude, we are driving while black. And I'm like, Dan, I don't know that that's necessarily the case. He's like, brother, trust me. Finally, after about 30 minutes, the guy comes up, the cop, I said, sir, what am I being arrested for? Now other cop cars have come up, they're shining lights in my car. I know my whole sales team's back there like, Milette's always wound up. He's probably got some coke or something in the car, right? Which, by the way, I've never done any drugs in my life, right? Well, testosterone, but that's a whole other conversation. So anyway, so he pulls up to the car. I said, sir, what is this all about? He says, it's a stolen vehicle and you know it. I'm like, stolen vehicle? Did I not register the car? But finally, I'm like, oh my gosh, the plates probably show Chrysler LeBaron. So sure enough, he comes back to the car. I said, sir, why do you believe the car's stolen? He goes, they're fake plates. I said, no, sir, this is gonna sound crazy. That's actually a Chrysler LeBaron you're looking at. He's like, nah, is this turning into a DUI, boy? I'm like, no, sir, it's a Chrysler LeBaron. If you go pull on my front door, it'll come right off. It's Velcroed on there. Imagine the look on his face. What the hell did you say? I said, the front door is Velcroed onto the car, sir. Go pull on it. Sure enough, him and the other cop walk up, pull on my front door. They are falling out laughing. Spins my door and throws it into the bushes. I get out of the car and he tells me to take off. That's the story of me wanting to be somebody. So I don't know where you're at right now, but are you slightly ahead of a Velcroed together Mercedes? Yes or no? Yes? Okay. That's me. You're welcome. Don't ever tell anybody that story again, okay? Give me a round of applause. That's a pretty good story, right? All right. So if I can go from that to, whatever the heck's going on with me right now, you could probably do something pretty big. I tell you that because you're going to remember this. You should tell that story to your sales guys, too. When they're like, I don't know if I can make it, go, look, I know a dude who's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. This MFer was driving a Velcroed together car, okay? Now, how the heck did I do that? What did I become? What changed with me where things changed? I want you to write this down. I read a book called Selling the Dream by a guy named Guy Kawasaki about that same time. Guy Kawasaki was the guy that sort of marketed Macintosh for Apple. Steve Wozniak's become a pretty good buddy of mine because I had him come speak to my coaching group. So I'm very, very familiar with what made Apple work. Only the greatest company in the history of mankind, right? Or most influential anyways. I'm very familiar with what made that company work. And what made it work is they had unbelievable technical people, but they had a dude that led that company who was a crazy man, like I'm a crazy man, named Steve Jobs. And Steve Jobs didn't have a high IQ. He wasn't an overly technical human being. He was an intense, psycho, crazy, and here's what he was great at doing. He was a great storyteller. If you're going to lead your company, if you're going to take it to the next level, you and your team had best be getting better at telling stories that move people. You're too much about the facts, you're too much about your scripts, you're too much about your presentation, you might even be too much about running numbers. You got to be able to tell a story that grips people emotionally, that shifts them, to create a movement. Are you with me on that? Say yes. You're like, what's that got to do with roofing and all this other stuff? It has everything to do with it. Everything to do with it is a story you tell and how you frame things that gets me to not only participate, but close now and refer you to people. So you think, well, that doesn't matter, we're doing well. You can always do better at this. Write this down. The greatest leaders are evangelical about their cause. They are cause-oriented leaders. They find a way to take an average, ordinary product and somehow build a movement and a cause around it by becoming evangelical about their cause. Evangelical about the money your people might be able to make, or evangelical about the difference you and your company make for families. To the extent you get good at becoming an evangelical leader is the extent that you'll be successful. I'll submit this to you because it's mainly men in here. To the extent that you'll be a great father, great leader of your home and your family, is to the extent that you can become evangelical about the cause and the mission your family's on. I'm constantly telling my children, we're going to do something awesome. Our family's special. Since my son was a little boy, every night he go to bed, you're a leader, you're a gladiator, you're the greatest of all time, Max. We're going to do something great as a family. I tell my daughter that all the time. Right? Why? No one told me that crap when I was growing up. I had an alcoholic dad. No one told me. I just hope he came home and didn't get mad. So are you evangelical about your life, about your cause? When people get around you, maybe you're not loud. I'm not, just so you know, when I walk off this stage, I'm the most introverted person in this room. Ask anybody who knows me. If I'm at a party, I don't talk. I'm quiet. If we were at the mall, brother, and we went to high school together, and I saw you, I'd love to connect, but I'm so quiet and introverted, I'd duck into a store to hide so we don't have to connect. But I had to learn to be a storyteller. I had to learn to transfer energy, to express myself. And I'm not capable of talking about crap I don't believe. I wasn't raised that way. But if you get me believing it, you get me talking about my faith, my family, any New England sports team, and my companies, I will move you. I will move you emotionally because I'm an evangelist about my cause. So what do those leaders have in common? If we go back and look at there, what does Steve Jobs, Oprah Winfrey, my dumbass, Elon Musk, I use Rachel Hollis, and sweet Kris Jenner, who's my neighbor, what do we all have in common? How about this group? Andy Frisella. I purposely put him next to Mother Teresa because I think that's hilarious, right? If you know Andy, he's my business partner in one of my companies. Mark Zuckerberg, and this ain't a political statement, I don't like anything Facebook does, I just have him up there for that reason. MLK, who's my hero, Dwayne Johnson, not real happy with him lately either, and Martha Stewart. What do all those people have in common? In different ways, they became evangelical about their mission and their cause and their company. And that will be the separator for you. You want to build a great company, a great life, a great family, great wealth? I'm evangelical about all of it, all the time. That's a very specific word, by the way, evangelical. What do all they have in common? You got that. What's an evangelist do? A person who seeks to convert others, especially by public preaching. A zealous advocate of a cause. That's what an evangelist does. You must speak about these things, write about these things, post on your social media about it. When your people get around you, it's infectious and repetitive, and you don't tire of saying it over and over. I like when my guys roll their eyes at me. Here he goes again. This is the mission we're on. This is what we're going to do this year. And they're rolling their eyes, and I'm just putting it in their consciousness again and again and again because I'm relentless about it. Amen? Yes. Say yes. So, why? because our obsessions become our possessions. You've heard this before, but if you really began to think about what you think about on a regular basis, most of you are thinking about what you're worried about, you're afraid of, and what you're concerned or anxious about. And you don't take control of your thoughts. You don't take control about what you're putting in your mind. I'm a decent example of making that shift. I do take control of it. And what I do when I know I'm having ones that don't serve me, I go, I'm intentional about it. When you're intentional about something, it loses its power over you. Once you're aware you're doing something, it can't affect you like it can when you're not aware. So I'm a negative thinker. I love to worry. I have this habit. Now I'm going to be overly cheesy with you because it's all dudes in here, but you have an emotional home. You have a series of emotions you live with regularly, don't you? Regardless of what the F is going on in your life, you find a way to get these emotions. Those emotions could be bliss, ecstasy, passion, joy, peace, faith, but they could also be worry, stress, anger, depression, frustration, concern, anxiety, aren't they? And you have a home, and you've had it most of your life, and it started when you were a little boy or a little girl. And because you've done it over and over and over again, even though you know they don't serve you, you will find a way on a very regular basis to get those damn emotions. You will. The quality of your emotions is going to be the quality of your life. And if you don't begin to become more intentional about the emotions, see, all of you this year wrote down a bunch of things you want to achieve. So did I. My outcomes for the year. I'm going to make this much money. I'm going to save this much money. We're going to help that many people. I've got a list of all my outcomes. You and I have gotten pretty good at achieving things we put our mind to, haven't we? You're getting pretty good at it. Maybe not last year. But some of you I've been talking to here told me you had your best year. But you're damn good at getting what you want, aren't you? Including the negative things. You're damn good at getting that stress emotion, aren't you? Man, you will find a damn way to get that emotion. Now, since you're so good at getting what you want, what if you set, and I'm serious, what if you set an outcome to begin to achieve certain emotions on a regular basis? Because what you've done is you've deluded yourself into thinking, if I can get $5 million in the bank, or $10 million in the bank, or I get one of these houses my let has, or I get that hot so-and-so girl, or I get to this level of influence, then I'll have those emotions I want. That ain't how it works. Your subconscious and unconscious mind has done this millions of times. It's a map, and you will find a way. Trust me. I was worth 30, 40, 50 million dollars. Still really not very happy person. I was worth 100 million, still not very happy. Married the girl of my dreams. Built my first mansion, built another mansion, still not very happy because I didn't get outcomes for emotions. I got outcomes for stuff. I want you to have a bunch of stuff. Trust me, I want you to have a bunch of achievement. But if you'd start to become more intentional about, I'm going to find some peace every day. I'm going to find some faith every day. I'm going to find some solitude every day. You'll find that when you get those emotions, as good as you are, is you'll get more of the stuff. People are like, what happened to you? I went from 50 million to probably $500 million in 5 or 8 years. And the difference was, don't quote me on that, the difference was I started to get the quality of life I wanted, the quality of emotions I wanted. And you got to get those, brothers. You're going to lead your family. You're going to lead your mom and dad. You're going to lead your life. Because you're not getting out of here alive. You ain't getting out of here alive. Why don't you start to be a little happier, a little bit more joyous, a little bit more giving, man. You'd be so happy you did. The fact is the strongest men are the ones who are willing to be the most vulnerable, are the ones who are willing to give joy, give passion, give peace to people. Those are the strongest men in the world, right? Right? We've all been wired a little bit differently. In fact, you know what? I'm going to cut the crap. I'm going to get you emotional. Forget it. We'll show this video, guys, in a minute. Let me say something to you. How many of you men in here, and women, but it's mainly men, how many of you have children? Raise your hand if you have children. Okay. I'll give you a secret. I think I'm the way I am because of what I watched my dad do. In other words, I'm not an alcoholic, but my dad was a dude who'd get angry pretty quick, get stressed pretty quick. So your life may look a whole lot different externally than the people that raised you. Maybe you even made a decision. I'm not going to be like these people. And maybe the external part of your life's not like it. But what about the internal part? You getting all the joy? Let's be honest, don't answer me. Has it been all it's been cracked up to be to get where you are? Or didn't you think you'd feel better about yourself by the time you got here? You thought you'd feel better about yourself. The crazy thing about it is you could have given yourself the gift the whole time of feeling that way. And your kids, you know when you go to one of your kids' Little League games, there's 25 kids out there, 9 on each side plus the dugout. Which kid do you see? You see your little dude, don't you? You got a little kid, you go to their Christmas recital, there's 35 kids up there singing away. Somehow you look at yours the whole damn time, don't you? Except maybe the kid lip syncing in the weird, but you know what I'm talking about. Well, guess what? All they see is you, Dad. All they see is you. You may not realize it or not, but someday they're going to figure out who you are. They love you because you're Dad, but at some point, are they proud of you? Do they respect you? Are you a man making a difference in the world? Those of you that don't have children but have parents or siblings, they know who the heck you are. You ladies here, mama, do they know who you are? Someday you figure out who you are. They figure it out, man. And you know what they want more than anything than you to be all this other stuff? Is Dad happy? Is my dad happy? And they know when you're lying. They don't see anybody else. The whole prism of the world of what they think they can experience, you're providing them. And it's not the stuff, it's the emotions. It's the emotions they learn from you. They learn how to live. They learn their emotional home. And they know whether or not Dad is happy. I want you to begin more conscious of this. You may be running out of time with it. In my case, they've left my house already. My son's gone. My daughter I got one more year with. But I'm showing them a version of me that's happier and more joyous and more giving in the quiet times. They know. Let me show you a video. Watch this. You guys show that?
Daddy is the sweetest daddy in the world. Daddy is the most handsome. The smartest. The most clever. The kindest.
You bastard dick. I was having such a nice heartfelt moment. I'm like, oh. And then you come with that.
Daddy wants me to do well at school.
Yo, thanks for still being here, man.
Daddy is just great.
Appreciate that, homie. Hope you're doing well, man.
He lies.
At the bridge for filming. Nice. I was gonna say, how's it going? How's the video going? That's sick, buddy. Wow, this video
He
turned really
lies
dark.
about having a job.
Oh my god.
He lies
This is way too dark, Ed.
about having money.
Oh my god, Ed, this is too real, man.
He lies that he's not tired.
Keep you warm nice, buddy. May you always be warm.
He lies that
This
he's
video is
not
fucked,
hungry.
man. This is like the
He
ring
lies.
shit, dude.
That we have everything. He lies about his happiness. He lies because of me.
Gotcha. So I told you I want to change your life today. I want you at least think about your life. Does that resonate with you, yes or no? Hey man, let me say something to you. Why don't you just give yourself a break? Why don't you just be a little happier right now? Just give yourself the gift, brother, sister. You can do that right now. In this moment, you can intend to decide that you're just going to begin to see things. You have a thing in your brain called a reticular activating system. It's what filters out everything in the world that's not important to you and filters in what is. So that's why you're pretty good at sales and building a company, because you see prospects and deals and ideas and innovations everywhere. What if you started to filter into that things that just brought you bliss and peace and happiness? Just give yourself a break, man. You deserve it. You were born to do something great with your life. You were born to do something awesome. You were also born to be happy. And you think, man, if I start having all of this happiness crap you're talking about, I'm gonna lose my drive. I'm gonna lose my edge. This angry, this intense, this worried version of me keeps the boogeyman away. That's what keeps me working. That's what you think. I used to think it too. Truth is, there's a thing called blissful dissatisfaction. There's a difference between happiness and satisfaction. You can be simultaneously incredibly blissful and still totally dissatisfied. I'm a blissfully dissatisfied human being. I'm more blissful than I've ever been in my life, totally dissatisfied. Still want to win, still want to kick somebody's butt, still want to do something great with my life, but I'm not getting out of here. Here's what happened to me. I was building a mansion, my second big house, and I'm all wound up one day in California. I walk in, there's all these guys probably in the country illegally. They were working on my kitchen, right? And I'm in there, these guys are making no money, they've left their families, they're just trying to get enough money to send back home and maybe have food that night. I'm walking into my dadgum mansion I'm building with my wife and my baby, pissed off about some call I just had, living in complete stress, and I look over, they got mariachi music playing, they're dancing and laughing as they're doing their job. And I thought to myself, if life were counted by the emotions we experience, and it is, they're kicking my ass right now. Who the hell am I to be living this miserable? These guys have nothing and they find a way to get joy. So I'm sharing this with you because you're all high achievers and you're all trying to make a comeback or grow your business. Don't lose the emotional part of your life just to go win and get more stuff. Y'all, you didn't think I was going to talk about this, did you? Pretty good stuff though, yeah? Something to think about. Or did I like completely lose you? Let me know. Are you with me on this, yes or no? Yes? All right, so let me show you something. Now we're going to get intense. Get my book, by the way. It's called Max Out Your Life. I'm putting the screen up here, guys. You can get my book. I got another one coming next year. This one's good. It's like a booklet. It's like 100 pages. You can read it in a day. It's got all kinds of tactics and strategies. If you don't have the $9 or whatever it is, don't get it. Follow me on social media. Go to Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Listen to my stuff. It's good. I'm going to brag for a minute. One time. I've already told you what an idiot I am. I produce the best content in the world by a mile. I'm just going to tell you. It's the most tactical, the most detailed, the most inspirational, the most real, because I'm real. I've actually built something, I've actually done something, and I don't come to events to sell you stuff. Sorry, I get emotional about it because I want you to win. I want you to be better. All my stuff is free, okay? And I got a podcast you should listen to. I got a coaching program called theartesyndicate.com. All right, so now we're gonna get intense. Okay, I'm a Christian man. I wanna say this first. I'm a Christian man. My children, Max was 3 years old, we're in the back of the car one day, and he said the F word. And my wife's dad was a pastor, her brother's a pastor. I said, where in the world he had never heard me cuss before. I said, where'd you learn the word? He goes, Mama says it every time somebody cuts her off, Daddy. So he learned a bad word. My son had never heard me cuss until the story I'm about to tell you. But if I don't cuss telling you the story, it won't be real. So I'm about to say some bad words. Are you all okay with that? Say yes, because it's a real deal. It really happened, okay? So I want to talk to you about winning now, okay? We got the emotional part of our life, now we need to win. Here's the deal. You got to quit playing around. Time's running out on you. I don't care how old you are. It was yesterday, brother. I was your age. I was cool, sexy, and young. Now I'm old, beat up, and achy, okay? Okay, let me tell you, time flies. Time flies. I'm 50 freaking years old next month. I can't even believe I'm saying that out loud. 50 years old next month. My son, I'm the type of dad, you can put that up on the screen. I'm the type of dad, man. Because I was an athlete, I played college baseball, I played Division I college baseball. I was a good player, I wasn't a great player. I had a catastrophic injury that formed a tumor. I started to lose part of my right leg that ended my career. It probably would have ended eventually anyways, but my career ended. So when I had a son, I did not want to be that dad. Any of you have boys in sports or girls in sports, you know that dad? You know the dad I'm talking about? The crazy dad? The guy that thinks his 5'6", 240-pound son's gonna play in the NFL. You know that dude, right? You should laugh at that, that's funny as hell, right? Has no genetic chance whatsoever of ever playing professional sports, but this dude's gonna turn him into one. So when my son started playing sports, I'm just gonna be honest with you, my son is not athletically gifted, my daughter is, bless his heart. In fact, Max was so bad when he played baseball, we for years could not figure out whether this poor kid was left or right-handed. And I'm dead serious when I tell you this. To this day, I still don't know. He eats right-handed, he writes left-handed, he can't throw or catch. You cannot play catch with a baseball with my son because he will probably get hit in the face. To this day. He's just not athletic. We put him in every sport. Football, flag football, he was the kid who blocked. You know which kids block, right? Right? You know what I'm talking about. Basketball, no bueno. He went an entire season and did not score a basket. Okay? Baseball, which was my sport, I got on the best hitting coaches on the planet. We just called him a switch hitter because we had no idea. So finally he stops playing sports. I'm like, you know what? But he's a hard worker. He's watched his dad work hard. Golf. And then, of course, when he started playing golf, left or right-handed, I had no idea. Still probably not sure. My son started playing in tournaments. We moved out to the desert. This is a picture of us. And I was this dad. I used to tell Max, hey, Max, you know Daddy loves you whether you finish first or last. You ever say that to your kids? I can't love you more if you win. My son started to take that stuff very seriously. And so we would go out, and where we lived, I moved where a bunch of professional golfers live and their sons. And so the tour my son played on, your dad caddied for you. So I want you to picture, you're walking around, I'm carrying his bag 4 or 5 hours. I'd show up to the golf course, tattoos, Adidas pants on, tennis shoes, tank top. My kid's got some used set of golf clubs from Roger Dunn, ragamuffin little outfit, you can see it right there. That's not me, that's me and him playing golf right there. And then we play against these kids. Dad played on the PGA Tour. He's got this perfect outfit that identically matches his son, best golf clubs, best instructors in the world. Everybody we played with were pros. And so my son, we would play. My son's such a good boy. I always wanted him to be happy for everybody else. My son played on this tour. I want you to hear what I'm about to tell you. He played 32 tournaments. He finished last in 32 tournaments. Not third or fifth or 18th, last in 32 tournaments. And we had a good time. We get in the car, I said, hey, have some fun, buddy. He shot 104, winner shot 68. You have fun, buddy? Hey, Dad, that was awesome. Just got to be with my daddy today. And I'm like, good, I'm glad you had fun. Every week we would do this. Walk around, finish last, finish last, finish last. Did you have fun? Don't worry about it. My son's such a good kid. He'd top his first drive into a lake. You'd hit a good drive. Nice shot, Brian. Such a good shot. Everyone loved Max. Guy makes a big putt. Max was more excited for you when you made a big putt than you were that you made a big putt. Not a competitive bone in his body. And I thought it was great. I was building his self-esteem, building his self-confidence. He's not going to play professional golf anyways. And we would go week after week after week. And I thought I was, being a good dad. And then this happened. He's warming up that day. See what he's wearing there? It's a good golf swing. He's in a good position. Max's problem wasn't his swing. Max's problem was up here. Max's problem was up here. He didn't believe in himself. He didn't want to compete. He didn't really want to get after it. And so we played 9 holes that day. 2 professional guys are in our group. And here comes the bad news. We're at the turn. There's about a 100-yard walk between the 9th and 10th hole. And on this tour, the kids get a box lunch at the turn. We're playing with 2 dudes. The first dad has won on the PGA Tour, and his dad won on the PGA Tour. And now we're playing with his son. There's 3 generations. The other guy's a good player, and his dad played on tour too. And one of the dads says, we're walking, having a good time. Max is 11 back. 11 out of first place after 9 holes. And we get to the turn, and you have to go get the sandwiches, but they got to go hit. And one of the dads turns and says, hey, boys, you guys go ahead up there. We'll walk up to the deal. Max is out of it. He'll go grab your lunch for you. And Max goes, yeah, I'll get it. And he starts to walk. I said, stop. I said, what the fuck did you just say to my son? Sorry, to be real with you. I said, what the fuck did you just say? I said, we don't get your lunch, dude. I don't know who the hell you think you're talking to. You don't ever speak to my boy that way. I said, tell you what we're going to do. You guys go up to the tee box. I'll go get the lunch. Max, you stay right here right now. And remember, this is, I love you, son. Never heard me cuss in his life. Now he's like, Dad, right? I got a tank top on. Max is 10 years old. I said, get over here. I came down. I said, get over here. We're going to fucking win today. He goes, what, Dad? I'm scared. What, Dad? What about, you love me with her? I go, that's out the window. We're going to fucking win today. No one speaks to us like that. You hear me? And I'm shaking him. But I'm also anchoring it. Big emotional state, and I'm touching him. I said, we're going to fucking win today, Max. Oh, Dad, I said, Max, listen to me. Here's what we're going to do. First, we're changing shirts. We're putting on your winning shirt. He had another shirt in his golf bag. I changed his identity physically. I said, you throw this jersey on. I said, come here. We're going to win today. Here's what we're going to do. No practice swings. Dad, I've never done this. We didn't line up putts. I let him pick his clubs. I said, I'm going to pick every club you hit. You're going to pick every club you hit. No practice swings. You execute. You got a beautiful swing, Max. You got a better swing than all of these guys out here. You're more flexible. You can hit it longer than most of them. We're going to win. Now remember, he's 11 back with 9 holes. I said, we're going to win. I said, okay, Daddy. I said, okay. I said, now listen, you go up to the tee, you hit the 3-wood, don't hit that driver. He sprays this driver. I said, you hit that 3-wood. I'm shaking, look at this. You think I'm kidding? You see that? I said, you hit that 3-wood, no practice swings. You get up there and smooth it, Max. You smooth it. Okay, Dad. And I watch a little boy, my heart's breaking because I've never made him compete before. And I'm watching him walk, Max walk like this. All the way to the tee box, I'm getting the sandwich. I want to beat the shit out of this dad who said my kid, right? Right? I'm the nice guy. I'm the Christian guy. We're going to have bubbles and gum when we're done here. And I watch Max from a distance walk up, grabs his 3. Here's how bad Max was. You ever watch, any of you know golf? My son can't even tee the ball. I'll never forget this. You know, normal players, like, they tee it up, they get behind it. Max was always like, you know, trying to get the ball to balance on the tee. That uncoordinated. Finally gets the ball to balance on the tee. He comes back, no practice swing. Whoosh, whoosh, right down the pooper, right down the middle. And I see it, I'm like, we're in business. And I kind of watch Max, he kind of hits it, he kind of flips his club a little bit. From a distance, I'm like, all right. I get up there, I go, give me the club, man. I said, nice shot. And I'm walking down, I said, we're going to win today, Max. We're going to win today, Max. We're going to win today, Max. That was awesome. You smoked it. Your 3-wood's longer than their friggin' driver. He gets up there, I said, okay, I've never done this. Now I'm getting specific in detail. Before it was like, hey, hit a good shot. Now I'm like, look, hit this 8-iron. I want it 10 feet left of the hole. He goes, okay, Dad. I said, no practice swings. Sure enough, he gets up, hits it about 20 feet left of the hole. He got a 20-footer now for a birdie. This kid hasn't made a birdie in his life, right? We get to the green, everybody marks their ball. Normally, what does Max do? He walks up to the ball, doesn't mark it, putts, 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 picks it up. Good putt, Brian, nice birdie, right? So he gets up to the green. I said, hey, he gets ready to putt it. I go, you didn't even line it up. I said, take a look at the putt. He doesn't even know what he's looking at. Right? He's like, okay, Dad, yeah, all right, I got you, okay. Walks on the other side, can walk around it, just like a pro, walks around it. He's like, okay, Dad, God's so good, you guys. He delivers the moment when you need it. Max gets over the putt. He goes, Dad, I think it's about 2 feet left to right. I don't know either, Max, just, I'm telling you, yeah, that sounds good, dude. Pulls the putter back, drains it, birdie. Okay, both those guys make bogey. Now we're 9 back. This is where God comes in. Next hole, I'm like, you know what? Smash the driver, Max. Shit, right? Smash the driver, buddy. He's like, all right. I said, you got this. Bam! Smokes the driver. All 3 boys smoke the driver, except now I watch something. Max starts to walk in front of me. Now he's walking like this down the fairway. Totally different human being. I'm like, oh, he walks like me now. He's walking like his dad, right? We get down there, it's a par 5. He's got 225 yards in. He's 10 years old, 9 or 10 years old. He's got 225 yards. Both these other boys lay up. I said, Max, we got to make up some ground. Smash this 3-wood on the green. He kind of looks at me. I said, hit it. No practice swings. There's a lake in front of the green. There's a block wall with rocks on it in front. Max walks up. I'm like, good shot. I'm like, Jesus, please give this boy a break. Please, Lord, please. And it comes down, hits the wall. Right up in the air. I'm like, ah. And I kind of do this, and Max goes, yeah, Daddy. And I go, what? It hit the wall, went forward, and rolled to about 6 feet away from the hole. That's God. That ain't me, right? That's God. I'm like, all right. Little Ian drops one in the lake. Little Mikey drops one in the lake. We're sitting on the green with an eagle putt. I'm like, Max, knock this sucker in. Take a look at it, walk it off. Same bull crap. He doesn't know what he's looking at. He looks around, looks at it, gets up, makes an eagle. We go birdie eagle with the new shirt on. Birdie eagle, right? Now Max is like, Dad, we're going to win this thing. I'm like, we are, buddy. We're going to win. And we get all the way to 18. He's down 1. We've never even met in the tournament. We've never even talked about this crap before. He's down 1 going into 18. There's a lake in front of the green again. I said, smash the driver, Max. It's you and Ian. Ian was the other boy left. Smash this thing, man. Max is walking around like, I own this place now, right? Kind of one of these deals. I got it, Dad. I got it. Sure enough, bangs it down the middle. They're both about 8 feet away from each other. And I hear Ian's dad say, my son's like, this language, Dad. I'm like, well, just today, right? Right, just today. And so, sure enough, Ian dunks it in the lake. I'm like, Max, this smoothie. Put a smoothie on it, buddy. Hit this 8-iron 10 feet. We're getting the hell out of here. We're going to win this thing. And he does. He hits it about 15 feet after 15. And comes up with the clutchest shot ever and hits his next one to about that close, taps in. So Max makes the putt, he wins. If he two putts, we tie and go to a playoff. Here's where I'm stupid. I go, hey, it's a quick putt. Don't hit this thing too far past the hole. We two putt, we go to a playoff. You don't say that. My son goes, I swear to you on my children, okay? My son goes, Dad, I'm gonna make it. I go, okay, then make it. Dunks it in. Yeah! He jumps on, yeah, Dad! There's nobody there. There's no crowd. I'm picking him up, running on. The other dads are like, our kids win every week. I'm like, this is the greatest moment of my damn life, you know? Yeah! And Max couldn't believe it, couldn't believe he won, and it changed his life. Let me show you something. There he is with his medal after he won. Look at that little face. Now he's got his new shirt on, right? Right? And I know you look at that picture, you're like, he still stands like an unathletic dude. I know, but still, look at that. That changed his life. This is now me and him playing father-sons. You can look at that one. What's that say right there? Milet, somewhere on there, 64. That's a pretty good score he shot that day. And that's when he's about 14. That's me and him now, playing at Cabo. He's a little bit bigger than his dad now. By the way, he's lost 80 pounds since that picture, gotten fit. And this is him signing his college scholarship to go play golf. Right? So, why do I tell you that? Right? That cool? That's awesome. All right. I got chills. Why do I tell you that? Because that day, we decided to stop playing golf, and we decided to start winning at golf. And you got to stop playing with your business. You have to resolve yourself today that you're going to win in business, that you're going to dominate, that you're not average and ordinary. There has to become a point where you make a decision. We're going to dominate. We're here to win. We are not here to play. And you got to have a company that decides it's going to win. And that takes some intestinal fortitude. It takes a decision, and it takes you being evangelical about your cause. So you can get all these emotions you want, but as a man, you still got to win. To be what you're worth, you still got to win, right? And that's what I want you to get out of today. You got to decide you're going to win. If you're going to win in your family, you're going to win in your personal life. I'm where I'm at because I just flat decided I'm going to be a player. I just decided it. I'm not special. I come from a Velcroed Mercedes. I come from a dysfunctional family. But I decided at some point, I get to choose who I am. The world doesn't tell me who I am. I'm not that small, introverted athlete with an alcoholic dad with no confidence. I write these chapters. Me and God write these chapters. I got the best co-author on the planet. He made me and you in his image and likeness. He made you to do something great with your life. That's no BS. Too many of us forget this. Too many of us forget where we come from. We come from greatness, the DNA of the King of Kings. I don't even care if you're a person of faith. Trust me, you should have some. The only explanation for where I am is there must be an amazing God in heaven who's blessing me on a regular basis, who loves me and you, by the way, in spite of all the stupid sins we make, because you know you've made a bunch of them. And what you think is all this crap you've done wrong, maybe even while you've been here on this trip, disqualifies you from winning. God takes dudes like me and dudes like you and women like you, and we change the freaking world. That's what he does. And he takes a guy like my son who will outwork you. He's a sweetheart. He's a good boy. He's a Christian boy. He's not just trying to flex all the time. He'll just outwork you. He got that scholarship because before school every day at 5:30, our golf course set up the balls because they know Max comes before school. Then he stays till dark after school. That's why he won. And I think he modeled some of that from his old man. You got to look at how much you're working. You got to work at the effort you're making. You got to put the intention you're putting out there. You think it's easy to go make hundreds of millions of dollars? What a joke someone's convincing you of that. It's relentlessness, man. It's crazy. It's pushing past barriers. It's every time you get somewhere, it's wanting to go to the next level. It's also something, write this down, that I teach all my athletes called equanimity. Equanimity is peace under duress. Being able to find peace under duress. Meaning this, it's easy to walk around and say, I'm going to be a peaceful dude, right? Or to create duress. But can you find the emotional control to be at your best under the highest stress levels? Tom Brady guys, is equanimity at its finest. He's also not the most athletic, but when it matters most, 3rd and 8, do you know what his third down conversion rate is like as a quarterback? You don't understand quarterbacks. 3rd and long, there's nobody in the history of football even remotely close to it. Not the big drive, he's great at that too. It's the little parts of the game where you go, Rodgers, no offense to you Packers fans, it's 3rd and 11. And he audibles out of the right play, audibles into the wrong play, and you're off the field. You don't know why you lose the NFC Championship. The other guy gets up there 3rd and 11, audibles into the right play, and converts equanimity under duress. It's the separator. It's invisible. No one sees it. No one knows what it is. It's the difference. So you need equanimity. You all with me on that? Say yes. You also need the power of one more. I'm writing a book right now that I really do believe is going to change the world called The Life-Changing Power of One More. There's a lot of different things I could say to you about doing one more rep in the gym, making one more phone call a day and stacking all that up, being a one more thinker. That's changed my life. I'm a one more thinker. I also get 3 days in one day. So I'm going to give you 2 gifts here. Number 1, the power of one more. If you add a one more multiplier to your organization, it will change everything. Maxwell calls it the law of the catalyst. You can't just be recruiting. You have to be looking for that one more special multiplier catalyst. I call it a rabbit. Someone that joins your team and everybody wants to chase after them. They set the pace, they set the culture, they set the intensity level. In every company I own, which is 23 of them right now, I am looking for one more multiplier people. Brady is a one more multiplier. Let me explain to you. Not just how he works, but it's how he works. It's not how. There's this legendary story going around the last few weeks that during Super Bowl week, Brady's up watching film at 1:30 in the morning, and he's texting the wide receivers at 1:30 in the morning saying, hey, 3rd and short, you can't run this route against this DB. 3rd and 8, this route works against him. Hey, 2nd and short, you can work this route against this DB, but if it's 2nd and long, you can't run this route against him. The level of precision and specificity that he brings to the organization that nobody else understands changes it. But he's a one more multiplier. So is LeBron James. Let me explain to you. When you add a one more multiplier, they infectiously help you magnetize and attract other people like them to your organization. You don't know why. I can't explain why. I think it's a vibrational frequency thing. But when I add these players, like if you added me to your team, you added me, you recruited me right now, I promise you, within 6 or 7 months, there's 4 or 5 mini-me's around that were never there before. Do you know that all 3 touchdowns in the Super Bowl were scored by dudes that weren't on the team last year that Brady recruited personally? They get Brady, Gronk, AB, and Fournette. All came there because of Brady. One more players that join your team are multipliers for your organization. You can't just look to add people. You can't look to add vanilla generic humans. You need to be looking for one more multipliers. And when you're recruiting and messaging, say it. Because guys like me, when I'm sitting in front of an interview with me, and you say, let me tell you what I'm really looking for. I'm looking for leaders. I'm looking for dominators. I'm looking for people who want to be somebody. When you say that word to me, you're speaking my love language, man. But if you just give me your normal pitch, here's the package, here's the money, here's what you can make, that gets average, ordinary people to say yes. You must express outwardly what you're looking for when you're recruiting. Does that make sense to everybody? Say yes to that. You combine an evangelical message, being a great storyteller, and starting to express exactly what you're looking for and visualize that person. Are they a man or are they a woman? Are they short or are they tall? Are they minority or are they not? Do they have a military athletic background? What are you looking for? Not just people. You'll begin to attract to your organization the very people you look for if you're specifically looking for them. Make sense? Yes or no? Don't you want that person who's like, I don't even have to call this dude. I don't even call him. He's out there before me.
Yo, Dick, good luck on your film, buddy. See you soon. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being here. Sayonara game, everybody. Lurkers.
He picked up the chairs after.
Paxton for here. You guys rule.
It was a little thing. I was like, the meeting was over, and I always was the guy who folded all the chairs afterwards. I'll never forget his name's Dan Charlier, the dude that I talked about in his wedding. And he was a former drill instructor in the Marine Corps, carried the colors at the White House. He's a stud. Anyway, this dude picked up all the chairs after the meeting. I was like, I've been here 5 years. No one's ever picked up those chairs. I might have a one more multiplier. Turns out I did. And I had about 8 of him within about a year. And it made my organization go from a good company to a movement, to a cause, because I got one more multipliers. A couple more things I want to share. This is good stuff, by the way. I hope we got a recording of this. I think I want this one. All right, so a couple more things really quick, because I'm limited on time. I want to tell you a story about Ed Milet. Not me. My old man. So there's 3 Ed Milets. I'm Edward III. I have a grandfather, my dad. My dad just died just a few weeks ago. My dad fought cancer for about 9 years. Growing up, my dad was an alcoholic and would be gone. And it was a great, everything happens for you, not to you. The reason I have an ability to read people and to be present with them and to transfer energy with them is because when I was a 4-year-old boy,